What's good? What's good? What's goody? It's your buzzing cousin Ghost Boogie. Welcome to B Boys Underground. Tonight we got a dope show for you. We got the one and only Diggy Ill Rock, y'all, out of New Jersey, y'all. Let's get into it. First up, Rap Clones. Check this out.
Put down the mic, young buck, give up, get out the gate. Get out, get out, fucking sane. I spit the truth and I'ma let it be known. Rapping internet clone. You want the truth? I've been rapping since my fucking youth. Growing up hard times, that's how I got through. Use a newcomer, proof I'm nothing like you. With a 5-stack 4-track tape and a broken mic too. That's when I grabbed a pen and started writing about my life. And it was 93 when every suburban kid was white. And every night we was hanging out under street lights, spitting for my crew, slap boxing with turn to fist fights. Started rhyming about 40 blunts and getting high, and systems bumping out of cars that were driving by. Puff and lie, we had nothing to prove, was killing time. Flooded with these overnight rappers, about to lose my mind. Down the mic, young buck, give up, get out the game. I promise this, you and I ain't the fucking same. I spit the truth and I'ma let it be known. I slaughter all overnight, rapping internet clones. Down the mic, young buck, give up, get out the game. I promise this, you and I ain't the fucking same. I spit the truth and I'ma let it be known. I slaughter all overnight, rapping internet clones. Had 1,000 fans, now only got 500. This type of shit makes you sick to your fucking stomach. You gotta love it, seeing how the table turning started. Now half the fans overnight became recording artists. Walk away, fake dog, and get your own thing. Silly suckers looking like puppets up on a string. I wanna wring your fucking neck and never let go. Faking a damn funk, see before suckers like us. Never trust nobody that's an outsider. You just don't wanna be a label fucking dick rider. Claiming streets, acting up, never held heat. Real goons creep, never sleep, but true killer bees. You sound the mic, young buck, give up, get out the game. I promise this, you and I ain't the fucking same. I spit the truth and I'ma let it be known. I slaughter all overnight, rapping internet clones. Down the mic, young buck, give up, get out the game. I promise this, you and I ain't the fucking same. I spit the truth and I'ma let it be known. I slaughter all overnight, rapping internet clones. Put down the mic, young buck, give up, get out the game. Get out, fucking same. I spit the truth and I'ma let it be known. Rapping internet clones.
See me, everyone! DJ Khan! Strip team of Tony Slippers! We got two more!
And White Owl, who's probably in the
Where is
bathroom.
he? Jerking off somewhere.
You want me to rock a show, homie? Fuck you, pay me. Can I get a video, dog? Fuck you, pay me. Want some hours in the lab, dude? Fuck you, pay me. Fuck you, pay me. You want me to rock a show, homie? Fuck you.
What's good? What's good? What's goody? It's your buzzing cousin Ghost Boogie. It's B Boys Underground, man. Welcome into episode number 81. We're way past even number on me anymore. We're done with that. But check this out, man. Tonight's going to be a really, really dope episode. I hope y'all are ready. We will be taking your questions. We're doing this an earlier time than normal, but as you know, B-Boys Underground will always make adjustments to be able to get dope artists on the show. If you're new here, hit that like, follow, subscribe, all notification bell. Mad love goes out to my homie Mad Ways, G-Fresh, and Big Weeze. Our co-host couldn't be here with us tonight, so I'm holding it down dolo solo style, but man, we got one for you, man. Without further ado, we've got New Jersey's finest, Diggy Ill Rock. What's goody, man?
What's good? What's good, brother? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Welcome to B-Boys Underground. So good to have you. Appreciate you being here, fam.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
yeah, man, dope track. And that one right there is one that, you know, even by your saying that, you know, that you're most known for, right? You know, Rap Clones.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, man. Like, tell us about how that came together and, you know, and what do you think, you know, like
The
actually,
the
yeah,
inspiration behind it.
yeah,
Well, all right. So, you and I both come from a time where, like you went out, you did shows. if it was only like a handful of artists at one time, like there was only a
Yeah.
handful of artists. And I I'll never forget, I was at a show. I think I was in North Carolina, or I was it might have been somewhere up here, maybe it was Brooklyn or whatever. And it was like a small little tour, like an East Coast tour. It was like something me, Danny Diablo, a bunch of other, artists were doing. And we toured. I want to say it was Brooklyn or Boston or North Carolina. I can't remember. I was living in North Carolina at the time. And so it was funny because I did it, and I saw people in the stands that, they were enjoying the music. They were really into it. And sure enough, like I never heard anything. All of a sudden, like I came to another show like a year later, because again, I was living in the Carolinas at that time. This is probably 14, 15 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe more. I'm not sure. And I came back, and the people that were fans were like, basically like, now they have their own record, their own artists. Like they became artists overnight. And some of these people, some of them are just good MCs. And if you're a good MC, you're going to stand out no matter what. But
Yeah.
there was like I saw a lot of dudes that were fans at one time become artists. So I think that kind of, and it was like overnight. It was like overnight. You watched it happen like it was a switch, And then the sad
Yeah.
thing is now when all those garbage artists that came, that switched overnight, that became an artist, they made it harder for like artists like myself, who's been around for all those years, or other artists that have been around for a long time. It shrinks. It brings it down to like a small, because there's so much garbage. You can't decipher through all the garbage. You can't, it's hard to like pedal through it all. So you just don't even watch it anymore, because you're like, all right, you know what, man, everybody's garbage. Or there's a lot of garbage out there that you have to shift through just to get to a decent artist. And I got friends that are artists that are just some of the most amazing artists. And but again, it's in between some 30,000 horrible artists. You know what I'm saying? Like, to find
Yeah.
them.
It's
So
very difficult, but I mean, so that's the good and bad about, I guess, the age that we live in, especially like you come from an era, the same era that I come from, when you remember it was Tuesdays that you look forward to, because that's when all of the new music came out. And the new music at that point, though, was being pushed by the majors, right? And those were the ones that had the money behind it. But being a part of the underground scene, you would also see all of the people that would be missing out and be like, man, y'all missing out on the real shit. And and now it gives artists the opportunity to go direct to consumer, right? And
yeah,
make
yeah,
better and make better profits and get
absolutely.
money, the money not past middleman.
No, it's
But
being put directly
yes,
into your pocket now, as opposed to going through a label, or going through, A&Rs and all the, you know, it's just money that goes straight to your pocket. If I get a play on it,
but
I get paid. So
you do not have that machine behind
of
you and
course, of
that
course,
structure behind you, where they're gonna get these artists are gonna get placements in commercials and get pushed forward in the algorithms and all of this other stuff, right? So it there's this balance that there's this shift of power that continues to go back and forth. And like you said, it's difficult because as a DJ and as a listener, as someone who loves music and is admittedly feeling very old, because I got the Michael McDonald Yamo B beard. You know what I mean? Like, it's
you're
just
looking good, brother. You're looking good. Stop it,
thank
stop it.
thank you, man. But I'm just saying, like at times I feel like an old head, and it's hard to keep up with all of the new music that's coming out. Plus the fact that it is very difficult to get through the music that there's a lot of garbage and there's a lot of good music, and it also jades me as a DJ, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck, man, I don't know if I even want to give this shit a
But
chance because you know,
that's what it is. That's what I was saying. Is there's so much stuff that like you get to a point where you're almost discouraged to even listen. You
yeah,
know, and you could be listening to one of the your favorite artists. You know, like and nowadays it's funny because there's a couple of artists that are young. I'm talking young bucks in their 20s, and I usually don't listen. I don't listen to a lot of people's music. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't listen to new people that come out's music. I listen to the stuff we grew up on, Wu Tang and all the. I'm still stuck in the '90s. I'm sorry, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like even my style's still stuck in the '90s and the '80s. So there's artists out there now that are just killing it, and they've really mastered the independent game without the machine behind them. And like congratulations to these guys. However they did it, they did it. But
yeah,
the sad thing is like I said, there's still so much to get through that a lot of people just like me. If I go to share something, like 75% of them are just gonna be like, yeah. If they've never heard of me, they just don't even bother listening, let alone you know what I'm saying? So it's because it's so much garbage.
yeah. So
So
I want let's go back to a time when there wasn't so much garbage, or at least us as children, we didn't perceive it as garbage, and we didn't have these old ears, right? Because everything we heard was new and amazing. But I want to know if you could take me back, because everybody that watches the show knows that this is the question, and it starts here. Take me back to the very first memory that you have associated with hip hop. Tell me what the smells in the air, good or bad. What the vibe is. What's cooking, who's around, what's on the radio, what is that artist, what is that song, what's that video, what is it?
right. Well, I mean, for me, my older brother was like a graffiti artist. Did a lot of graffiti.
Very dope.
My brother Fed, and my sister who just passed away. She was a part of a breakdancing crew out of Jersey called the Playboys. So we were running. Again, music at that time, I don't think really was catching me. I think I was into anything that was, don't forget, the only thing you really had was what was on the radio, unless you went out and seeked out a certain record. So at
Yeah.
that time, 5, 6 years old, I was just like listening to anything that came along. But I was so intrigued with the breakdancing and you know what I'm saying, and the music that was playing, and it was just, it was just uh, it was something that caught me. And then I started like really digging into like, I mean, there was a record I think that impacted me the most, and it was by LL Cool J. It was "I'm Bad," and I know you know
Mm.
that record. You know
Oh,
that
of course,
you know,
man.
it was
Tell me about that song. Why is it, and what was it, man?
because all right. So first off, I think it was more. The beat hit me with like it was just insane, and I just thought he was the coolest. Like the video, he was talking. I don't know. It was all positive and just his flow was almost like there was a lot of people at that time that were doing kind of the same thing. Beastie Boys, DMC, Run DMC. A
Yeah.
lot of people at that time were doing. They all not that they sounded the same, but they weren't flowing as fast as LL was. LL was like a punch, boom, 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 boom.
Hmm.
And then I again, I'm not 100% sure on the years. Like it might have been 86, 87. But then there was another record that came out around the same time, and I remember those two records I had to have, and it was KRS-One's Boogie Down Production. Um, so you're a philosopher? Yes, I think that was 87.
Hmm.
So they were close in years. Again, I don't I'm fucking pushing 50 myself, so my memory's not all there. But it had to have been like the two records that really caught me was that one with LL, and then Boogie Down Productions. I Am a Philosopher. I don't know how much you remember that song.
No, I know. Dude,
You know,
my
I
name's
think
Ghost
very
Boogie. Part of the
deeply.
boogie is
So
part of
it
the
had to have
boogie.
been
The
like
reason,
KRS-One
uh,
and LL were like my. And believe me, I was a fan of Run DMC. I mean, Run DMC. I
mhm,
mean, I was a fan of all of those in '85 and up. You know what I'm saying? Before
yeah,
'85. there was Herbie Love Bug, and there was other songs. There was Sugar Hill. There was
What did you think about the message?
well, that's what was interesting is to me at that time the message was more of a, I don't know how to explain it. It was more of having a good time than it was anything rough and tough.
No, no, what I meant the song "The Message" by Grandmaster Flash and the
Oh,
Furious Five with the dun, 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 dun,
uh,
dun, broken glass everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah, no, no, and
That song,
the thing was is being so you
which
got to
was
understand.
83,
I'm
84. Yeah.
well. The thing is, I'm probably 15 minutes from the Bronx, the birth of hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
That's where I
sir.
grew up. That's where I live. And, even to this day, I'm still 15 minutes from the Bronx. So at that time, it felt to me like I felt, and I know that sounds weird, was I felt like it was, they were telling a story about something that other people weren't experiencing because I got to see both worlds. I got to see, you know, I got to see a suburban neighborhood, which was again 15 minutes from the BX, and I got to see the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? I got to see them both. So when you heard that music, it was almost like, and even when I started coming into the suburbs, like I saw the way other kids were perceiving it. I don't think they were perceiving it the same way I did. I think they were just listening to the music and just kind of maybe just going with the flow as opposed to actually taking it in. So I took it into the point where, like, wow, I got to see like the struggles they were talking about. I got to see it, and it was like, wow. And at that time, New York City is funny. I tell my wife and kids every time we're in the Bronx or we're somewhere, if we come off the highway or something, I'm like, man, I remember a car would break down. 3 hours later, you come back, the entire car was stripped.
All
There was
stripped
nothing
out.
left of it. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing left of it. So, uh, you know, and I think of things like that. My mother, don't forget back then cars were boats. Big giant Pinto. You know what I'm saying? A heavy ass
Bro, I
car.
love I
You
love
know.
those cars, bro. Those you could
So
get
I
into
think
any type of wreck and you couldn't die.
no, no, but that's the thing is I remember just like going through the streets, going to an aunt's house or an uncle's house, or just going somewhere and just like what the city smelled like, what everything was like, and just the atmosphere. It was just another, I don't know. And then like I said, you come over to the suburbs, it was like another world. So when I heard that music, the music was like an expression of what that was.
Hmm.
And like I said, some people took it in the way I took it in, and then others, I think they just heard an instrumental in their head and didn't really care what they were saying. They were just grooving to it, you know.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah,
so
yeah. Which
I
is true.
I think people, because again, I mean, everybody is a jingle. Commercials are a jingle. Everything's a ring a ding a ding. You could probably remember commercials from the 80s yourself, like actual the whole
Absolutely.
words for commercials, the whole jingle.
100%.
But people, I don't think, remember what it really was about. You know what I'm saying? What it really
Yeah.
was. So when I heard all that, the message or just basically anything around that time was just, I don't know. I soaked it up. I soaked it up. I loved the way the one thing that got me was I was so intrigued with DJs. I'd go to parties. My sisters, my brothers, they were all older than me. I'm probably one of second to third youngest or whatever out of 7 kids or 8 kids. I forgot. I got a whole bunch of brothers and sisters. So most of them were older than me. And I would chase them down to a party, and they'd kick me out a basement party. In the laundry room of under a building, or what I'm saying. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right,
But
right.
like I just remember but it was more party. It wasn't. I don't remember, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I block it out. I don't remember there being so much violence involved. I
Hmm.
don't remember there being so much. I don't know. I just don't remember. I remember when hip hop, I thought to me was like a good time. I don't remember, and maybe it, like I said, maybe there was, but I just didn't see it, and I didn't take it in like that. I took it in as like, wow, this is good. This is something that makes us happy.
Yeah, and I think, also just because just the way things are, way media paints picture. It's always, and it's what you're used to, and I wanted to get to because I'm so happy that you went into that because what I wanted to ask was really, how did growing up in New Jersey and New York shape your musical style, your influence, and being around that and just speaking to seeing that and being close to it.
Well,
How does tell me about that?
okay. Well, the thing is at that time, not a lot of it was on the radio. There were certain songs that made it to the radio, like Blondie kind of exposed a little bit of that. The artist Blondie, Blondie.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
with
you know,
with Rapture.
right. There was certain it wasn't playing on the radio like they like if you wanted to hear that stuff most of the time, it was coming out of someone's radio, record player, or you know what I'm saying? Like you didn't hear that like constantly on you didn't turn your dial on your radio in your mother's car, you know what I'm saying, and listen like you didn't hear that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So but I still felt like I heard it evenly exposed. I heard both, you know. So I think at that time, um, I don't know, it was something to see. I saw breakdancing every other day. It was something to watch. It was so intriguing. And me, I tried popping and locking, and I did a few head spins, but I didn't have no composure together. I was just following what my brother or my older sister were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to think I could break dance. I really did. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I knew I could, I couldn't do the windmill. I couldn't do, you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
But
look, fam, I knew I could never dance. That's the reason why I was a DJ. I know I can keep time and everything. I can
no,
book,
you know
I
what it
can
is?
booger, I can boogie, but I can't.
One day
I
I
don't
looked in
want
the
to dance.
mirror and I said, I can't dance. I'm white. You know,
Beep, 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 beep.
so, but no, but my brother was really good. My sister
No,
was
I know that doesn't mean shit.
amazing. Um, and like I said, around that time, it was just, I guess it's just all I knew. I didn't really know anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't
Yeah.
really, and then like my other older sister, she was into the rock. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
What
My
was your
mother,
parents into? What did you grow up listening to? Like, what did your parents grow up like?
my
Have you guys listening
mother
to when you
listened
grew up?
to like the Pointer Sisters, the
Hmm.
Bee Gees,
Disco.
she loved that disco sound. It's weird because I hear those songs to this
Hmm.
day, and it makes me think of my mother or driving in her car or something like that. But it never caught me like that. See, that's the magic of it.
Yeah,
Nothing ever really caught me like that. You know what
I
I'm saying?
feel
Like
you.
that's nothing caught my attention like that. No matter what music was being played. I love Motown music now.
Yeah.
But even back then, when my mother was playing it or my aunt or something like that, like I didn't feel it. I didn't feel music until hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't feel music
There
to
wasn't ever a sound that connected to
right. There was
you
nothing
until
that
you
ever.
found.
There was nothing that caught me
Hmm.
until hip hop really was invasive and very invasive in my ear with my surroundings. So I don't know. It's I
So
just
what
remember
was
once
it?
I started seeing DJs like play with sounds and records and watching them take instrumentals, speeding them up, changing the pitch, all that stuff. Because again, a record player only had so much you could do with it back then. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like you couldn't do all the things you wanted to do with a record back then.
No,
So a
no.
lot of guys would take, again, like a rock sample and just
Yeah.
play the record slower and just sample it. Or if there wasn't even really much samplers back then, it was just whatever they could find. I mean, dudes were
Uh-huh.
making music with, I
Just
remember,
808s.
right, but I remember even just I'd love, and you saw this a lot when I was a kid. I don't know about other cities. I just, again, know my city or Jersey or whatever. Like, dudes used to play the buckets, you know what I'm saying, with the drumsticks. And I'd sit there and watch them for an hour, especially if they were doing something that caught my ear that was more on the hip hop, spectrum, you know. I don't know, I mean, like I said, I think that's what it was. I always liked music, but I never nothing caught me like, wow, I want to do that until I heard hip hop. It's
So,
weird.
so what was it that, from when you heard LL and you heard
KRS.
KRS
Yep.
One, right? And again, when you were speaking about, do I know KRS One? I mean, my name's Ghost Boogie for a reason, and part of the boogie came from BDP, Boogie Down Productions, KRS
Okay,
One,
okay.
Ice Cube, Chuck D, those guys.
Right.
Any of the MCs back in the day that were conscious and had something that they were saying, and there was education and teaching, and I loved the early on conscious rap and the entire movement. I was
Right.
I was just in it, right? But um, what was it? Tell me, from what age was it that you decided to start picking up a pen? And because you were like, all right,
Well,
the breakdance is not for me now. So, like, I'm
well,
gonna go ahead and start.
tell you the truth, I didn't really pick up the pen till about maybe 89, 90. And started writing. And
Okay,
even when I was writing, they were horrible. They were horrible. I used to think they were good, but they were horrible. And I would spit for like my family, my friends, and they would, of course, how family and friends are. They're like, yeah, that's dope, or that's great,
yeah,
Did they really like it? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
right,
But you know, but I think it was around 89 I started like really wanting to get like I wanted to get a sampler, and I wanted to, DJing, I wanted to try DJing. That's where it started. I wanted to try DJing.
okay.
So I think we went to a place in what the hell was it? Not on Burnside Avenue, Jerome. I'm trying to remember, somewhere in the Bronx. Not Dr. J's. Oh my God, I can't remember the name. It was a place that had all like DJ equipment, had everything. Um, Holy shit! Now I don't know why I can't think of it, but it was a big spot. I mean, you walked in there,
Uh,
they had 18-inch woofers everywhere. They had DJ
like a straight
samplers,
professional sound place.
yeah,
They had
I don't know.
everything.
I don't know why I keep saying Dr. J's, but I don't think it was Dr. J's. It was something else. Can't remember the name now. But it was right up there off Fordham. Not Fordham. Burns. Yeah, off Burnside, somewhere up that way. Jerome Ave. Anyway, so we went in there, and my sister actually gave me the money to buy like one turntable. And
What'd
it
you
was
get?
like this,
What kind?
I can't even remember. Back then,
Okay.
I can't even remember. I don't know. It wasn't no 1200s or anything
Was
like
it a
that.
Gemini?
Gemini. There you go. It
There
was
you
a
go.
Gemini.
That everybody starts up them Gemini starter packs, man. You get a Gemini pit. Did you get
Well,
a
it was
Gemini
funny
mixer
because
too?
when I bought the Gemini,
Uh-huh.
I had some money left, like of what she gave me.
Hmm.
And I walked outside, and there was a dude standing outside the store. It was like, oh, you trying to be a DJ or something like that, or yo, you want to buy some equipment? I forgot what the hell it was. There was dudes outside hustling equipment too.
Hell yeah.
And he had this. It was purple and black. It was like a Dr. J sampler or something. DJ sample. I'm trying to remember what the hell the name of these things were. They
I
were.
know exactly what you're talking
It
about
had the
though.
sampler on it. Had the little button. You
Yes.
pressed it, and
Uh-huh. You pressed it and then you could loop it. Yeah.
DJ or Dr. J. I forgot what the hell it was called. I don't know why I
Yeah.
keep Dr. J.
It was that probably American DJ or something like that
Something
shit.
like that,
Yeah.
So, and of course, so I was like, oh man, I had like 2 records. And my mother had a bunch of records, but her stuff was, like I said, the Pointer Sisters, some random, nonsense that I was like, so now I need records, you know.
Mm.
So at that time, like we borrowed records from people's mothers, and we were just like giving each other's records to each other, and oh, let me play with that
Yeah.
today. Let me play with that. And then I was like, oh God, I really, really need a mixer. So I tried the DJ thing. This was about 88, 89. But then I enjoyed the sampler so much that I was like, wow, okay, I need to take this sample and I need to do this. So then I remember, what year was that? trying to remember what year it was. I worked for my sister's husband or boyfriend at the time, whatever. His family owned a food store in Harlem. So I would go with them and do like they were repairing the refrigerators in a food store, or there was a church that right on top of the food store too, where they had to do new piping and stuff. So I was a little kid just learning how to like weld pipes and do whatever. So he paid me a bunch of money, and then I went and got more equipment. Um, but then I bought a 4-track, Fostech 4-track, and that's what you heard in that song started off with. So I think that was like 90, 91 by then. You know what I'm saying? Again, my timing might be off by a year or two, but I just remember having a Fostech 4-track, and the first day I used up all 4 tracks, and now I'm baffled. How am I going to get more tracks on this 4 tracks? So you burnt it to a tape, and then brought it back in. So you had 3 more tracks.
Yes, sir.
So, but the fucking thing is, by the time I got to my 8th, 9th track, it was just garbage. It was garbage. It was straight garbage.
Everything was stepped on. Yeah.
You know, but it was garbage. But it was just like I couldn't stop creating from that point on. So like it just like spiraled in one into another. So then I, got into the producing end, and I'd say about like 1990, 91 is when I started like, like, wow, okay, let me put some lyrics to this. Cause my brother was already like rapping to the stuff. Cause I was making the beats and playing with the beats,
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, come on, and then he's like, yo, man, let's make a group. I was like, nah, bro, we're not ready for that. You know what I'm saying? And then he kept doing, like solo song. He would do like a single, and then, he burn them to a bunch of tapes. You remember the 2 tape players? And he would burn one to the other. He would just make a bunch of tapes, hand them to people, go around town, hand them to people. And most people probably just took it and threw it in the trash, and
Please, oh, please listen to my demo.
Yeah, so then it just, like I said, it spiraled out of control. From that point on, I was like, yo, I'm making music. And so I guess by 92, 93, I made a record with a friend of mine, this kid from Brooklyn, Malachi, my brother, and this girl, Erica. We did this thing. It was called Scavenger Click. And we made like 10 songs. We got recognition from some guy out of Hackensack, New Jersey, who had like a record label, or, what I'm saying? Whatever it was, I guess he was trying to do his thing. So he was shopping our stuff, So it was like 92, 93. And he was sending our tapes into Funkmaster Flex, because Funk Flex used to play underground hip hop.
Yes, sir.
From like 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock. So
I would get tapes of his stuff.
So he would play underground music. So I remember even getting phone calls at my mother's house. I remember hard lines, and people would be calling my house at 12 o'clock at night, just to tell me I just heard your song. You know what I'm saying?
How crazy was that to hear, though? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that had to have been in itself. Like,
you think at that time, like, wow, I'm doing something. But again, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I never had expectations of anything. You know what I'm saying? I just made it. Like anything, like even to this day, I make probably 3-4 songs a week. Half of them go, most of them go in the trash. I don't even release them. Just because
create.
Right. Like I just love creating. I never wanted to be an upfront superstar. Never did. I know people say that's crazy. Why would you put all that time and effort in? First off, this is like you were saying, this is my therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my sanctuary. This is my peace. This is, because I have a theory with music in my own. I consider.
What's that?
Well, so I consider music a part of time travel.
Interesting. I love it. Tell me more.
Okay. So, all right. So, like, do you ever hear a song that you haven't heard in 30, 40 years or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's on the radio or just random in a supermarket. So for at least 3 seconds of that time of hearing a song from your childhood or from even whether it was your childhood or you were 20 years old, for about 3 seconds, you could almost close your eyes and go back to wherever you were when you were listening to that song when it meant something. And I don't care what anybody says, even if it's for a 3 second memory before it, okay, now I'm back in reality, because that's usually what happens. But I always felt like music was something that it's like, it's to me, it's like a time travel. If I listen to a certain song, like I said, with LL Cool J, I'm Bad. I remember it was a couple of years ago, and this is where I actually came up with the theory, was talking about LL's I'm Bad. Was I heard the song, I was at a barbecue, and for about 3 seconds, I was in my living room in 1986, watching the video for the first time. Do you see what I'm saying? Like just for that, it was
Absolutely. Let me just stop you right there. I want to relate to you because I mean, I try to tell people this and explain what you're explaining to other people in the way that I experience music, because music is so ingrained with sensory. I'm talking about, I can tell you what smell, I can tell you where it was. I am in the moment, in the present. It is right there, and it is very much uh something that
sorry, I lost you for a
gets.
sec.
We're good, no problem. We're live, and anybody that we're watching, we are live. This is what's real about B Boys Underground. There's no, I didn't warn you ahead of time to say don't sweat it. If anything happens, don't even apologize. We back. If you drop, we back. I'll bring you back on. But we're live, y'all. So technical difficulties happen, but that's
My
the thing
bad.
that I love about. No, there's no apologies, no need it, not nothing. Like, so here's the thing though, fam. Like, that is so true. That is so true. And even when you mentioned I'm Bad, when you mentioned that song, the memory that I always remember that song from was my parents, of course. I grew up watching Saturday Night Live with my parents. That was always a special thing as a kid, to get to be able to stay up that late.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing LL. Like, I mean, I watched the original cast all the way up,
Wow.
until, and then it was like LL performed Bad on fucking SNL. And I remember he stood on top of this big box that they had, and this box was shaking back and forth. He was just rocking on. He was just, oh, Bad. I
Yep.
was just like,
Yep.
man, it was like Cool J. I was just like, this whole shit was just, my eyes were just,
Yeah.
my parents knew it. I was hooked. I was just hooked already at that point, man. But I
That's
was already hooked on
that's
music.
funny.
It's crazy though. That's great stuff, Joshua Runson. Everybody that's tuned in live, we do. Speaking of everybody that's live, we got Gorilla Strong, DJ 5150, Steph, Hood Hippies. We got all different types of people all over America and the globe checking in. DJ BM3, salute. We've got DJ Damio, um, Birdie's in the house. If I'm missing people, I'm going to be getting back to you. But check this out. Gorilla Strong had a question for you. So,
Okay.
what was your very first stage name? Speaking of the origin of your career.
Well, it was always Diggy.
He said, well,
No, it was always Diggy. But unfortunately, before, all right. So my cousin Chris, he used to call me Bean Diggy. So like it just kind of stuck with me, and for the longest time, I think I even used Bean Diggy on my, you know what I'm saying, as my thing. Um, so it was Bean Diggy originally, and then it just went Diggy, and then when I signed to Ill Rock Records before I owned it, which was owned originally by Danny Diablo, um, he switched it to the Real Diggy. He was like, "Oh, it's the Real Diggy," because there's, I don't know, So and then I was like, man, I was like, fuck this. I'm just Diggy, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm just Diggy, you know? And but yeah, I mean, being Diggy was something that back in the early 90s that only lasted so long. Then it was, you know, I called myself Diggy, and then like I said, Danny Diablo said, you know, oh, let's call it the real Diggy, stands out more. And I went with his advice on that, and then finally I just went back to Diggy again. And then, you know, and then when I took over Ill Rock Records from Danny Diablo later on, I started calling it Diggy Ill Rock, you know, because I was like the face now, you know, of the label. So, um, and it just kind of stuck. And I like the Diggy Ill Rock thing. It puts my label out there and it puts my name. You know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, you got a chance to work with some dope people, notably, you know, and tell me about like, you know, out of the collaborations that you've had with everyone, who are some of the favorite people that you've had an opportunity to work with?
I mean, so on the engineering aspect, worked with a lot of like industry names, which I'm not
Yeah,
gonna like drop names. You know,
I feel you.
one of them's in court right now. You know, and I'm talking like internship type shit. You know what I'm
So you
saying?
did a
You know,
lot of engineering though. So because I did that, I went that path too. I was a
well,
sound engineer,
well, let's
touring
just say
sound engineer, and studio engineer.
before I met my wife, so like 97, 98, 99, 2000,
Yeah, yeah.
those 4 years, I got kicked out of every studio in New York City and New Jersey.
You
Because
got kicked out of. Tell us why. What was you doing? Were
no,
you wilding or
no,
what?
I was wild. I was
Just
drinking. I would bring in girls. They'd have threesomes on, the fucking floor of the studio. We did stupid, 20-year-old, 20-something-year-old bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't. All right. So at that time, I used to break my mother's heart because I never thought I'd live past 20. I used to say I'm not going to live past 18. Then when 18 rolled around, I'm not going to live past 21. I really didn't see a future
been there, done that.
because I
Yeah.
was living so stupidly. I didn't think I had anything. I was getting locked up every other night.
Mm.
Like literally, I'd wake up in a jail cell. You know what I'm saying? Not that I don't remember how I got there, but it was just like nonsense, stupid fights, stupid things, throwing
Yeah.
people out of cars. Like, like, throwing people into cars. So so I got kicked out of a lot of studios, but in that time, I was doing a lot of mixing and engineering, or even sometimes I would be the guy that just recorded the artist for. So if it was like Queen Latifah's studio in Garfield, New Jersey,
Mhm.
like I'd be the guy that they came in and like I would press record for their artist that they were coming in. I really didn't mix it. I left it for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
there's
You
people
just
that
basically got clean lines and then
yeah,
record.
that's it. I
Boom.
made sure
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
came in right. There was
Yep.
a few things I mixed, but I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't know shit about frequencies. I didn't know much about, I dialed knobs till I thought you know what I'm saying? And no one wants to pay somebody to dial knobs until they feel like it's, you know what I'm saying? What is right. So, so there's that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right. I feel
you
you.
know, but as far as, I mean, just recently, last year I did a song with DMC from Run DMC. That was an honor.
Man.
Um, the video's out on YouTube. It's called damn it. It's like that. We took it from the
Yes.
original. It's like that. I changed it up. Uh, a friend of mine, this girl Kat Marino, she played the piano and did a few instruments, and she sent it to me originally, and it was like 60 beats per minute. I was like, I can't do nothing with this. So I took it from 60 beats per minute to 85 beats per minute. I put really
Okay.
crazy drums on it. And then after I threw in a hook, no, I can't remember. I think I was done with it and I started like playing with a verse.
Mhm.
And then she turns around, she goes, yo, she's like, I'm friends with DMC from Run DMC. And I was like, oh, cool. She's like, I'm gonna send it to him. She's like, I want him on this song, considering she was the executive producer or somewhat half, she produced half of it. So I said, hey, listen, it's your project, whatever you want to do.
Mhm.
And the same day she sent it to him, he goes, "Oh, that song is dope. I definitely want to do it." You know, like he didn't even. It was literally a half an hour later. He texted back, "Let's get it done." Um, and at that time, he was actually overseas in Japan or something.
Man, respect to the
So
icon, the legend, man.
he recorded it. He came back as soon as the day he came back. He recorded it, and then we shot the video like a month or two later, and that was it. So DMC was great. Um, I don't know, like I got hardcore roots. I'm part of the hardcore scene too.
Right,
So
and I
there's
wanted to get
people
into
like
that too.
like Stickman from Fury of Five. Um, he was somebody I looked up to. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
doing music with him was a beautiful thing for me. Um, I don't know. I mean, I've done stuff with people, and I don't know. I guess there are people that I've done songs with that I can't even remember at this point. But the ones that stand out, I guess, are the ones most recent. With, like I said, with DMC. Um, I know I did other ones. I'm sure you can find the
No, I
song
feel you. No, but I
the
mean, just
YouTubes.
you mentioned. No, I mean, I wanted to know one that stood out, and you mentioned DMC, and I
Yeah, that was
remember.
just recently, so that kind of like
Yeah,
in my memory. I know there's others. I don't know why I can't
but
think of.
that's a huge one though to have
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
mean
yeah. It
that's
definitely was. I mean,
DMC, yo.
to me, that if you're gonna do a song with a hip hop legend, that's one. My other one would be with Chuck D, which
Mm.
I probably could make happen if I really wanted to. I can make that happen tomorrow. I'm sure in the next couple weeks. But I really don't like. I don't like using people's names for my
Yeah,
thing. You know what I'm
I
saying? Like
feel
if
you.
I'm gonna make a good song, I'm gonna make a good song.
Mhm.
I really don't give a fuck who's on it. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna spit it right and you're gonna do it right, the name recognition thing doesn't really bother me at all. It really doesn't do anything for me either. Because I've had dudes with big names. Again, I'm not gonna name names that ruined the song. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh
like,
wow, yeah.
it really it's not just like I'm not gonna lie. Like if I thought D stuff, DMC stuff was trash, even though it was like mine and Cat's project, man. You know,
You would
uh,
have deaded it.
I probably would have deaded it or not have done a video for it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not have deaded it. I would have let it
Gotcha.
ride, posted it up on iTunes or whatever. But the song came out great. I was proud of it. And all the scratching I did on it, all the sampling I did on it. Everything was, it's, it was good. So
That's dope, man.
that's that.
Do you have a favorite machine that you like since you've been doing production and working in the studio for as long as you have? Do you have a favorite like vintage like hip hop machine in
I mean,
regards to
yeah, I mean,
sampler?
my favorite ones to ever play with and to really work on
Mhm.
um, was an MPC or an ASR. Those were standard back in the 90s. Like if you had an MPC and an ASR, mostly every studio, any major studio you went into back then had one of those in the corner, even if it wasn't being touched.
Did you have
Um,
a MPC version that you preferred, like the 3000 over the
3000 was
2000 or
3000 is
2500? Or
one I like the 3000 the most. Um,
that's my favorite too because it had that gritty ass sound, man. You
well,
can't get. Mm,
the the pads, the way they bounce, the way there was a bounce back to it that when it's funny because later on, because the other one, the hard drive inside went bad.
yeah.
No, was that my ASR that went bad? I can't remember now. One of them like had the hard drive that went bad, and then
ASR
yes,
had hard drives in it that would go bad. I had one that I had to swap a couple
and
times out.
and when it
Yeah.
went bad, it was like the newer version was out.
Hmm.
Bought it, and I didn't like the feel of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I just didn't like the feel of it. I didn't like the way and
Yeah.
plus the MPC that I got was like handed down to me by like two other people.
Ah, so
So it
it
already
had some
had that wear
runtime.
and tear in it. I know that sounds horrible, but it's like
No,
you
you're
know
right.
me. I like my old socks better than my new socks. You know what I'm saying? My wife just
Hmm.
bought me a package of socks the other day. I like the ones with the holes. They're more
Yeah.
comfortable. They're broken in. It's so
They're molded to your feet.
Right,
But yeah,
right, right. So that's where I stand with that, But as far as equipment's concerned, you know, whatever got the job done, whatever got the job.
word.
I never got emotionally attached to anything. I think, like I said, that first sampler I ever had, I was attached to that. I was attached to that because I just, holy crap. I mean, the things I would do with that, I was sampling everything, anything I can find. I was sampling things on the radio, the TV, the bird chirping from my mother's bird cage. And I would just turn it into something. You know what I'm saying? There was something about that, even though it was the biggest piece of crap on the planet. It probably was brand new, was like a $70 piece of machine, but it was just something, And then you had, I forgot what the hell it was. There was another one. Again, I can't, this is a, what the hell was it? It was, dude, it was basically, it was like this big. It was a drum machine, little pads. Basically, if you want to hear where the drums from the Beastie Boys, first record, or License to Ill or any of that stuff came from, it was from that drum machine. And I forgot what the hell it was. That thing had, at that time, there was
Hmm.
something about it. There was just something about it, the snares, the way everything hit. It was just like,
Was it a
it,
Boss?
it was a Boss. Yes, gray,
Yeah, I was. Yeah, the
little gray
Boss.
Boss. That was it. Yep, it was a
Yeah,
Boss. And then I had then when
it's
I
like a
stepped my
TR
game up.
202 or some shit. Or I can't remember that because I mean we all had one of those. But I'm
Well,
sorry, you talk
well,
at that you had my mind working. So
and it's funny because I think that had to have been 95, 94, somewhere around there. And
okay,
then I got something that I kept. So at that time, like I said, I was still playing with 4 tracks, in my own time, not in studios or in bigger places. So when I was building my own little setup, those were my little tools, And then I started recording digital, which was great. So I got a 64 track DS880 rolling.
wow,
And
nice.
the sad thing is, I refuse to get rid of it. It's still working.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still using my original 1200s. My first like, don't get rid of it. Don't sell it. Don't give that to your children. Let them know not to sell it. Like, you better keep that or I'm
they,
gonna haunt
they don't
you.
know what they're gonna do with it one day, but
It doesn't matter. They should put my ashes in it. Like, whatever. Make it an urn. Don't you sell that.
but it's just funny because that stays in my studio as like a statue. It works, it still works,
That's
but
dope.
that's
Don't give it up, man. Don't. I'm so happy you still have it. Hoarders for life.
and so that's that machine right there. I did like maybe, God, I did like everybody in my neighborhood's record on that. 95, 96, somewhere around there. And so how old is that now? 96.
97. I mean, we're looking at 29 years, 39. Next year will be 30 years. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I think he's 30 years old, still works like a champ. Turns right on.
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it? That's what they made shit to work and
Yes,
last,
absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
you
But
got what you
but
paid
again with
for.
the music, I don't know, man. I just make it. I just make it. I don't think it. I had a lot of people I worked with. They always think that song that they're working on is the next hit.
Mhm.
Me, anytime I make a song, I just throw it against the wall like spaghetti. If it sticks, it sticks. Don't keep it moving. That's it. I don't have expectations. My favorite quote of a movie comes from the movie Dodgeball.
What was
You
that?
know,
What's your quote? Which one is that?
I don't remember exactly how he says it to the T, but he says if you don't have or if you have expectations and they're never, if you don't have expectations that are never met, you're never disappointed. Basically, don't set bars and expectations for yourself. If you do that and you don't reach them, you'll never be disappointed. I
True.
know that sounds horrible. It's a
No,
stupid
no,
quote.
no, no, no. Here's the thing. Here's the thought process, and I can back into it because a lot of people struggle, including myself, with if we just being open and candid, like the the starting because want you set this high expectation for yourself, right? It could even come from fear of failure or whatever it may be, right? That paralyzes you, You have all of this technology, all this equipment and all this stuff and I have these skills, but yet I'm staring at a blank canvas and can't come up with shit because of whatever I'm in my head about, right? So that in itself gives you the liberty to just create and be you and
Right.
give you freedom to say, all right, yes, I'm gonna I'm it's just the same thing as like someone that shoots hoops, right? You shoot or shoot, right? Yeah, you're gonna miss, but you gotta keep just
Yep.
they're gonna come, right?
Yep.
It just you gotta shoot or shoot. So it's that mentality. It's create, 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 create,
And
and
I'll
then
create till I'm dead. Like, I mean, and again, see that I just don't have expectations. So again, if I get 10 views or I get 10,000 views, neither one makes me not doesn't change my attitude one bit. And
yeah,
I know people that it gets to them that, oh my God, how did this not go where I thought it was going to go? So I've seen that for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? I've
yeah.
seen that for 30 years. And that's, listen, bro, I'm successful. When I tell you I'm successful, and I'm not talking about, I mean, yes, music, I'm successful. I've got to work with the people I've always wanted to really work with.
Yeah.
I make great records. I've been a part of many different projects and records, been a part of movies or low budget movies that I'm proud of. Um, so like I did I did jingles for a big agency, going back. I did Nabisco,
Hmm.
did jingles for Vidal Sassoon shampoo. You know what I'm saying? Like I did jingles and stuff like that I made. Like I made money on this music. It's just not what everybody thinks I make. But I'm so successful. Like, bro, I retire in 4 years from my work, my regular day-to-day work. You know what I'm saying? So
Congratulations on
like,
that, man.
and you think music ain't gonna retire. If anything, I'm gonna do more music than I ever did. I mean, no one wants to listen to a 50-year-old dude rap about 40s and blunts from the 90s, but no. I mean, and that's the
There's
thing.
so much more that you have to pass down that you need to pass down
Well,
at
with
this
my
point.
music, that's another thing is I ain't putting on no front. I ain't trying to say I'm a gangster. The problem is,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna tell you something. If you listen to any one of my songs,
Hmm.
any one of my songs, especially anything in the past 15 years, I don't rap about guns. Drugs maybe once in a while because I like drugs like the next person, but I haven't done any in a long time. You know what I'm saying? But but the thing is I don't rap about something that I'm not living, and that's okay if that's your stick and that's what you like and that's what you're into. Like, don't get it
Yeah.
twisted. I'll smack a motherfucker faster than anybody, but that's not me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not fucking guns. I'm not in the mob. I'm not gang
Mhm.
banging. I can't talk about, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what kills
That's
me
not
is a
you.
lot of artists are I call it fantasy rap.
Yeah.
Like I think of Rodney Dangerfield. Where should we build our factory? How about Fantasyland? Because again, I don't know how anybody can go to work a regular job, and then come home and talk all that nonsense. You know,
Yeah.
talk like they're in the mob or they talk like they're gangster killers and and I got friends that are actually gangster killers, and that's their.
Yeah.
I got friends
We
that are
know
almost
real
60 years,
people that are
right,
active, right?
and I got friends that are almost 60 years old, never had a real job a day in their life,
Yeah.
and hustled their whole lives, But again, you'll never hear from me. But there's a difference. People go, "Yo, Diggy, man." People will actually think I curse because of how hard I spit. And when I say how hard I spit, I put a growl in my vocals. You
Hmm.
know, you know what I'm saying? So like it sounds so aggressive, but I ain't cursing. I'm not even cursing.
Yeah.
Listen to my last 20 songs. I don't even curse in my songs. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But people think I am just because of how aggressive I spit it or how I lay it on the beat.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's that anger in a way.
right.
I had a homie that was one of the first MCs that I worked with and produced, and still I consider him a brother to this day. And Like he had a couple different styles, but the one that I was like, man, I need the angry man on this one, right here, man. Like, and he had a different way you could flip the switch and then have that, and then and
Right.
get in the way that you had it have and like put it out there. That's because that is and it cuts through because it has a way of cutting through the
Right.
music
And
and
that's
everything.
the
So
thing is, I think a lot of people think they need to curse to get their point across. A
hmm
lot of people think they need to come off as a gangster to get their point across,
yeah,
you know, and I just don't believe in that. I never did. I never did.
yeah,
And I'm not mocking anybody. I mean, shit, one of my favorite records to ever listen to was NWA. Yeah, first record, straight out of Compton, like
right.
that record was hard. Talking about shooting cops, shooting other people, fucking girls, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
it was just yeah, it was there wasn't anything really like it
no, no,
that that big on that
right.
level at that point. Yeah,
So
Ice T Too
again,
Short.
I think I just going back to when we opened up the show with my internet clones.
Yes.
I think most people, if you had 10 people and you told them, let's say they weren't rappers or artists or music artists,
hmm
and you said, okay, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to be a music artist, you're gonna say 10 people, I want rap songs from you guys. 9 out of 10 are gonna start talking about guns, gangsters, hoes, drugs, and start talking all that crazy shit. There's going to be only one person that's probably just going to keep it like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about rapping about fluffy bunnies. I'm talking about, that just knows how to say it in a hard manner. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? So I don't know. People think I actually curse. It's funny. Go back to my records. I don't really curse that much. Maybe like rap clones, I might have said a fuck or a shit, but I really don't. Like even the last probably 8 songs I released in the past year, there's not a curse on any of them. I
And
don't
see
believe.
that also. My apologies to
No,
interrupt you, but that shows that you have a vocabulary and you know how to use your words. As I say, it's like talk to my kids like use your words, damn it, like talk to me and tell me what you really trying to what are you feeling, what
right.
and communicate, like learn how to communicate and learn how to communicate better than just saying fucking shit and damn,
Absolutely.
like articulate yourself. What are these emotions that are driving that? Because once you can get a harness on what your mind is thinking and be able to
Right.
communicate effectively, then you can
Yeah.
get people to understand you better, right?
Well, it's funny because there's a line that I did in a song that I dropped 6 months ago, and it's still.
Mhm.
Oh,
And don't worry,
I lost you for a
we're
second.
good, we're good, we're good. So
Um,
the song you did about 6 months ago. Well, hold on.
insisting on calling me. Sorry.
Yep.
You still there?
Yes, sir. We are.
I'm frozen.
We're
Uh oh.
good. We got you. If you have
You
to
still there?
refresh this, yeah, we're still here.
Uh,
All right. Well, check this out. He may
how
just
come I don't hear
refresh.
nothing? Are you back on?
Can you hear me?
I don't know why I'm not hearing you. Uh, why am I not hearing anything? You still there?
Uh,
Uh, uh,
refresh.
I don't hear nothing.
So, y'all, we're live right now, and it's all good. No stress. No stress. While we get him to
Refresh.
refresh. Yep. There you go. We're
Still
live,
there?
y'all. So,
Oh,
can
I
you
don't
hear
hear
us?
you yet.
Check that. Refresh.
Oh.
1, 2. Hello, hello. Check this out.
All right, now I hear
We're,
you. My
can you hear
bad.
me now?
Yeah, my bad. It's my bad.
Okay, no problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. Your Bluetooth and
So,
stuff when they get the call.
so
So
what
when
I
you
was
said
saying
six
was,
months ago, like you released
yeah,
something
six
six
months
months
ago
ago.
I dropped a
Yes.
song. It was called Revenge. It's a great song.
Got
I
it.
mean, uh, and it's funny because there's a line in it.
hmm
Something about it just really stuck in my head, and it's probably one of my favorite lines I've ever said in my life as an artist. Was something about I was talking about artists with or dropping something with no content. I could
hmm
drop a hard track about a nun in a convent. like because I can make a nun in a convent sound hard just by the way I spit it. Do
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
you know, but
No, no,
again, you know,
that yeah, that's dope, man. So you've worked with a lot of people, like you said, and you've done and produced on a lot of things. I would like the opportunity because normally when we get about an hour in, we always like to give a chance to have some folks consume some more music. And it, when we have an artist, I would love to always give you the opportunity to choose what you would like to highlight for the folks listening, or unless there's any requests in the chat. But you tell us, and then tell us, and of course, give us the whole setting of the table of what it is they're getting ready to consume.
you talking about one of my tracks or just a
Yes,
track in
sir.
general?
No, no, one of your tracks, sir. Like one
uh,
of.
you know, again, I don't know. A lot of my music I try to
How
again
about
I like
this?
making I like making what I make. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't make it. I mean, I make it for people. Don't get me wrong, but
All
I,
right.
I come from I come from a
I know
time.
what I'm gonna ask. Then I'm gonna
Go ahead.
ask you.
Go
All
ahead.
right. Destroy myself with the track that you did with DMC, Cat Mariano. Tell
Yeah.
me about this. Set the table because we talked about it earlier. I want to know, you talked about how it came together and everything like that, and you put it together. But like, tell us what was the intent? Because you did the track first, and it was you sent it off, and he was like, he heard it and was like, I want to do it. What was it about the track that you did? Like, well, take us there. Take us through
Well,
this track.
okay. So when I did my verse, um, you know, first off, if I ever collab with another artist, if somebody says, "Hey, you want to get on a song with me?" I'm always open to work with anybody. I don't care who you are.
Hmm.
So the thing is when I when she did her pianos and violins and all that stuff, and then I had to speed it all up and then put my drum sound to it. Um, it felt very old school hip hoppy. So when I did my verse, I was like, man, like if I'm gonna send this to anybody to collaborate, you know what I'm saying, to do something together, I usually try to give them everything except for where their verse is gonna sit. I give them the chorus, I give them everything. I build the entire thing. So either you say no or you can't say no if that's you know what I'm saying. Like I make it so that it sounds as perfect as it can for any artist, not just DMC, for any artist. Like I wouldn't say, hey, you want to get on a track with me and just send you an instrumental. I don't do that. Like to me, it's almost an insult. I gotta give you an outline, a topic. And I'm very big on topics. It has to be something that all the dots connect. So, uh, so basically, I was like, so Kat was like, well, I'd really like to get DMC on this, because she's really, good friends with him. And I was like, well, I can't send him this out without a chorus. So I said, let me come up with a chorus. I spit a few lines and then I chopped up It's Like That from his original song that he did with the group Run DMC and
And
Jam
that's so
Master
well,
Jay.
yeah, dude.
Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Jam Master Jay. Um,
Rest in peace, Jam Message.
um, so like I was like, okay, well, I'll take his sample, speed it up, change it up. There was even samples at the end of the song from when he worked with Lords of Underground. Do you remember Down with the King?
Hell yeah, down with
Right.
the Kings, the Kings. That's one of the
So I
hardest fucking man. Come on,
right.
man.
So I took It's Like That, Down with the King. I took a few samples and I built it in my head. You know what I'm saying? So I said my first line, or I had him the sample come in. It's like that, and then I did my verse. I mean, not my verse, my part of the hook, and then the second part of the hook is like another sample of his. So I wanted to entice him in that sense too, like he almost like where he couldn't just say no. Yeah, I'm gonna give you an offer you can't refuse. So, so I was just trying
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah.
So I said, Kat, I said, please let me build a chorus before we send it out to him. And again, once he heard the chorus to be my verse, he was like, was gung ho. He says, "I'll be back from Japan in 2 days." Same day, and he got back from Japan. He sent it over, so that means he was eager. And in the song, it's funny because before the video shoot, my DJ was there. My shout out to my DJ Red Devil. My DJ, well, he's not my DJ, he's part of my label, Ill Rock's label, and he was up there and he was with them, but setting up before I even showed up. I was like late, what I'm saying? So and DMC's going, "Yo, man, Diggy's verse was so dope. It was so inspiring," and I mean, to hear that come from a legend. Now, I wasn't there to hear this, but my DJ met me outside, and he was like, "Bro, you should have heard DMC in there. He was just bragging on how great you did on this song, how amazing the song is." And me, I'm like, "Wow, it's a little slow for my band." I was like, it's a little slow. Like, if it was up to me, I would have done like 95 beats per minute. You know what I'm saying? Instead of 85. Right. But it came out great. It came out good. And he loved it so much that he couldn't refuse it, so.
Midget Mike wanted to know, one of our viewers, shout out to Midget Mike. He wanted to know, how was it working with DMC, or was there anything memorable that you could share that you have observation?
So working with him and anybody who's ever worked with him, like it's funny because my boys worked with him years earlier. My boys from Lords of Brooklyn. My boy Adam and Caves and all them, those are my homies. So they worked with him before many times, and Chuck D, But DMC, I didn't know what to really expect. And I met him one time at a video shoot for, I think it was my boy Necro. Necro had a video shoot. Yeah, it was Necro shoot. And I met him there. So, it wasn't like my first time meeting him, but first time kicking it with him and getting to know him. Probably the most down-to-earth person. Now, I'm not talking an artist. Down-to-earth person I've ever met in my life, period. He is not what you think as a music artist. He is not one of these, I don't even know how to explain it. He makes you feel welcome, and I don't know, he just is so everyday normal. One of the most nicest people I ever met in my life, period.
That's so great to hear too, because no disrespect to Rev Run, but out of Run DMC, as a kid, when I first heard them, like, DMC was my favorite, just because his voice always cut through, and then he got sick, and then him finding his new voice, but still, right. And then like the big change, like physically and appearance wise, and again, people know me from streaming. I started in 2020 when I was 400 pounds plus, and you're full of all the coming off of cancer and all the other stuff,
right.
And like now, there's a whole big difference too. But like health challenges and battles and mature, like just growth. But that is so amazing to hear. But that's great to hear, because he has always seemed like he's been very genuine.
Well,
in all the interviews.
He even opened up to me about not for a long time, but like he opened up to me about his challenges in life. And not too many people will go ahead, hang out with you for the first time, or really get to know you for the first time and talk about those challenges.
Yeah.
And to hear what he overcame.
Yeah.
See how good a shape the man was in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, he ain't young. You know what I'm saying? No offense.
No.
I love you, D. If you're out there, I love you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was.
Yeah.
He was actually like not just a guy just working with it. Like, I text him Christmas, or now, like, if I get done with a project I'm proud of, I'll send over to him and he'll give his insights, so like it's became a mutual kind of cool,
that's beautiful.
Person, which, I mean, I've gotten that with a lot of people. Like, I mean, just a lot of art. There's a lot of people out there that I think they see the image on screen.
Yeah.
And they think something else. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to know certain people as a person, like I got a friend of mine who's a movie star, a big movie star. He's been in over like 500 movies. He's a famous guy. I'm not going to name and drop him.
Yes, sir.
Most down to earth person on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just one of those really And in every movie he plays a bad guy, just FYI. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's not a bad guy, you know. So
Now you're gonna ask the chat's gonna start asking random names now. I already know, but no, go ahead, please. But no, that's cool because I've got to meet some folks that I considered heroes, and they have either been good or
right,
bad, and you
right, yeah,
become friends with them, and then you're like, you just are talking on a normal basis, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day we are all humans, and
right,
I think that's what's really even whenever I encountered and had to like take back in the old days when it was the job where I was really the get it to the Greek guy, greeting someone when they came to the city, got them to the in stores and at the record
right,
stores and the radio stations, to the concerts, the after part, all that shit, and being the main guy on the ground or whatever, and that just realizing and putting people at ease is like, man, come on, man, like you're a normal ass person,
yeah,
man, and you are dealing with all your like all of the stress and drama that you yourself out there are feeling and experiencing as a human. Well, they're dealing with it too, and also now they're stressed out because they're not able to show up because everybody in the world wants a piece of them. Like anywhere
right,
you go, right? It's
right,
just like, hey, can I have a picture? And then they're like, well, fuck you. If it's like, nah, man, like my mom just died or whatever, right?
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like, it's not
Yeah.
fair.
No,
So
and that's the thing is there's some people that I mean, I'm not one to take pictures with people like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not my cup of tea. And like I said, I got famous friends, famous people. Oh, I'm not in all
clout
these pictures.
chasing.
Yeah, I don't like that because
Yeah.
again, that's not my connection to them. You know what I'm saying? My connection to them. Again, we come from a time when there was no cell phones and there was no,
Thank
you know,
God for that.
right? When you wanted people to come to your show, you actually went to the mall and handed out flyers. You put stickers on bus stops, flyers on bus stops.
You mean
So
you didn't just post something on Instagram?
yeah, that's it. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Salute. So look, that's a dope ass story. Thank you for setting the table. Y'all the table has been set. So we are getting ready to go ahead and watch Destroy Myself, man. Check this out, man. I'm looking forward to putting this here on and sit back, relax, and unwind, y'all. Here we go. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. This is whack ass program. My apologies. And I'm not even gonna blame it on the sound guy because I am the sound guy, right? So let's see here. I don't know why it's not. Give me a second. Again, we are live, and here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is Dan with the Plan, a mix of boom bop, classical, alternative, and hip hop, produced by the one and only Cat Marino Production.
This is a Cat Marino production. With the beat.
new beats break. The right type of MCs, lyrics relate. Just couldn't get enough to put them on plate. First lab in 89, started playing with keys. I got a 5-tech 4-track, making the beats. Adidas on feet, new sounds that I see. Then I show it to my peeps and try flooding the streets. It's like that, you would put a love in a boom back. Kick back, relax, from snaps to hard raps to earth shakes. Speakers pop when we rock from our block to your block. We making them heads knock. It's like that, you would put a love in a boom back. Kick back, relax, from snaps to hard raps to earth shakes. Speakers pop when we rock from our block to your block. We making them heads knock.
14 hours over the soul for a little hip hop and some rock and roll. I hope to spread this music all around the world. Let the turntables whirl for the boys and girls. The devastated mic controller, the king rock roller, the man with the brand known like Coca-Cola. Made a song with Diggy, now performing with Diggy. Been known as the king from a New York City. Rep the nerds and geeks every time I speak. Give me the true technique to get the song of the week. I rock a mic in 3 stripes. I'm loving my life. Yeah, there is none quite like the son of the bike.
It's like that, you would put a love in a boom back. Keep back, relax, from snaps to hard raps to earth shakes. Speakers pop when we rock from our block to your block. We making them heads knock. It's like that, you would put a love in a boom back. Keep back, relax, from snaps to hard raps to earth shakes. Speakers pop when we rock from our block to your block. We making them heads knock.
Keep it hardcore 'cause it's dope, man. Look, volume on the beat, Diggy, Diggy, Diggy down. I keep it hardcore 'cause it's dope, man. Look, volume on the beat, Diggy, Diggy, Diggy down.
Camarino production. Camarino production.
I keep it hardcore 'cause it's dope, man. Volume on the beat, Diggy, Diggy, Diggy down.
Hell yeah, man. Salute. That looked like that was a dope time shooting that video too. Y'all had a good
Fun.
time.
Fun, a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, man. Very, very dope, man. Dope track. And the chat loves it. And we got some questions from the chat. And Grow Strong requested for us to play Amazing with D-Lyric as a
Wow,
as a
that's
video.
that thing is wow, really? that's one of my worst songs.
Oh shit. So that's
No,
a no.
listen, old. It's like 16 years old, and it was just one of those ones that I threw together with a homeboy of mine, and oh god, and the song got chopped up because of some another group which you might know, La Coca Nostra,
Mhm.
was they had that whole brand you can trust thing. So when
Mm.
I had to cut that out of my chorus. Diggy's a brand you can trust. So I kind of like I was kind of after that I had to do that out of mutual respect. You know, not that I was asked to. I did it out of the kindness of my heart. You know, it's not like Slane or anybody,
Yeah.
you know, or even Everlast or Danny Boy or nobody asked me to do it. I just felt like wow. At the same time I came out with that, they came out with that. It's a brand you can trust, and I was like, oh shit. You know, saying it on the chorus would have been like.
Yeah.
Almost like a weird thing, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, go ahead if that's what they was.
Well, we'll get to that. There's a couple other questions. Was how is Ill Bill in the studio? They wanted to know how.
I never worked
is
with Ill Bill in the studio. I only worked with him on films, live
only
videos.
on films. Gotcha.
Yeah.
How was Ill Bill working on film?
Quiet, chill, just laid back. You know,
Yeah.
it was. You know, he's I don't know. Me and Bill, like our biggest conversation was, "What's up, Diggy? What's up, Bill?" So like you know, like I mean, shit, we're not even like that close now. Now, me and his brother Necro, like we're close. We text each other every once in a while. We, you know, check in on each other. You know, so.
Which is another question that Midget Mike has is have you ever worked with Ill Bill or Necro? And I guess they want to know like
Nope.
what that was like. Never worked with either of them.
Neither one of them. Nope.
I got you.
Nope. I don't know. I don't like to work with like like friends like that. You know, like it's usually business or it's a personal request from a friend. You know what I'm saying? And Bills never came to me for anything. And Necro's good all by himself. You know what I'm saying? He's my
Yeah.
boy. You know, hits me up when he wants me to come out for a video or something like that. And, you know, when we see each other at shows, it's, you know, a good time. We have a great time together. But other than that, it's just, you know, we're not like fucking best of friends or something. You know what I'm saying? He's my boy. It's my boy, though. Like, seriously,
Respect.
that's my boy.
Respect. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was some of the questions from the chat. And the reason why Gorilla Strong had requested that track, he said that that was the first track he had heard of you on or heard you on was.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
Oh, wow. He's a poor guy. That's hilarious, man. That's the reason why. Look, if you're live, you tune in live. We appreciate you pulling up and everything like that, man. You know, speaking to, I wanted to transition because, like, you know, as an artist and as someone who has a career, and how do you juggle, especially with you working on all these different projects, and how do you juggle a career and a music job, right? And a work life balance, and you're a father and a husband of over 20 years plus 20 going on 23, right?
Yep.
Congratulations, big
23.
big
23 years.
congratulations. Yeah, shout out to that, fam. That is huge, man. Shout out to that. I'm going on
Thank you.
19
Yep.
this year,
19, you
so
said. Yeah.
bam. So let's get it, man. But like, so that's dedication, right? And that takes, but with the fact that you are doing what you are doing in the entertainment industry, and that in itself takes a lot of time. How do you do it?
Well, I mean, personally, like, my wife's always been my biggest supporter when it comes to like, uh, I think her biggest high is knowing that I never gave up on that dream in my head. You know, it wasn't a dream to be famous. It wasn't a dream to be anybody big, but you know, it was a passion of mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if my wife had a certain passion, I would never ask her to stop doing it, regardless of, you know what I'm saying, of us. She was always a big supporter. I let her. Wrong choice of words. I didn't let her. She was able to be a stay-at-home mom for the first 10 years of our kids' lives. You know, I worked. I was
Respect.
able to go on tour, California, New York, California, New York. You know, I was able to jump around. Plus, the price of living at that time in North Carolina was 10 times cheaper than, you know, living in New Jersey. So she was able to be a stay-at-home mom for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just a great support system. My family always supported me. You know, everybody. My mother, you know, she never really, you know, she wasn't like a big fan of rap or anything like that, you know, but she always, you know, she used to say once in a while, like, ah, yeah, you're making your music, you know, you're doing this, you shouldn't put out this, you know. She was always worried about like an image. And I said to her, I said, Ma, I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? She was like, oh, you know, you got, you know, you're in videos with gangbangers and this. You know, I was like, you know, meanwhile, this is a woman who raised me around Hell's Angels and bikers. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, you know, like, you know, whatever. So, but I don't know. So, you know, basically, I got a great support system, and
Yeah.
I sleep 8 hours a night. And I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize how much you can get done in, you know, a good 18-hour day. I think a lot of people are just lazy. We live, you know, I think people are just lazy. I don't
Yeah,
see
man.
people go, oh, well, you got your own studio. Yeah, but somebody still has to work it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody still has to create, you know. But again, I create, I drink my morning coffee, I go take a shit, and I write a song, you know. Um, on the weekends, I actually go sit at a Starbucks for, you know, before my whole family gets up. You know, I'm at Starbucks at 5 a.m. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I get my cup of coffee, and, you know, all of a sudden I'll just start writing, you know, and then the whole song's done by 8 o'clock. I'm in the studio recording it by 9:30 when I want to go spend time with my family at 9:30 in the morning on a weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a
Mm-hmm.
song already done. I'm ready to release it. I'm ready to put it on Spotify. You know, during the week, same thing. You know, I can come home from work. If my son doesn't have a basketball game or something like that, I come in the studio for an hour and just knock something out the box. You know, And I put myself with time limits. You know what I'm saying? Like even with see a lot of things that I'll do for people even as favors. I'll tell them, look, man, I'll get it to you in a week. And or I'll give it a longer time to get it done, just so that I can poke at it the way I want to poke at it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just make it happen. I don't think about it, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? I
No,
don't think about it. Just do it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of just doing it, and another father, hardworking and a great dad, and one of
Thank
our
you.
co-hosts is the one and only Mad Ways is able to join us. He's back. What's goody, man? How are you, sir?
What's good, bro? Right here, just getting in. Had to
Yeah,
come in and tap in with Diggy Ill Rock. I was listening, to some of the tunes right now. Let's go.
absolutely.
Did we
So
lose him?
he's got people calling him, and
Okay.
it's all
Man,
good.
I just want to shout out the chat, man. I see all the homies. El Mondo, Midget Mike, Gorilla Strong. We got the homie A Los, 711 tapping in from Be Real TV. Thanks for popping up, bro.
Thank you
Big
so
love
much
from
for being here,
Bluebeard. You know
family.
what it is.
Absolutely, and shout out to we have also Tweak Music Tips, which is a super dope channel. DJ Kova, salute to you, family, and thank you for tapping in. If you guys don't follow Tweak Music Tips, please make sure you follow Tweak Music Tips. Great content, great show for anyone that streams, and he highlights a lot of hometown heroes and has a ton of guests that has I mean from DJ Jazzy Jeff, Scratch Bastard, industry leaders on streaming and everything. So
Hell
make
yeah.
sure you follow Tweet Music Tips if you don't follow them already. And salute.
I gotta check them out. And big ups GMC Texas. I see you, bro.
Yes, sir. All right, and he's back. Yo, Diggy, this is Mad Ways, Mad Ways. This is Diggy. Salute. Mad Ways is all the way
Salute,
out
bro.
God
in
bless.
South.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
Yes,
He just
sir.
got home from picking up his kids and taking care. He was doing dad things.
I'm
So
out. I'm out in Los Angeles, so that start time for me was right at my pickup time.
yeah, that's that
I was
carpool
like,
time.
when I saw the message, I was like, oh, I ain't gonna be able to pull up.
I already knew it. I was like, man, all good.
But man, hey, just wanted to come up, show some respect. Appreciate you coming through, digging the music, digging the vibes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Salute, man. Man, so I want to ask you because you have had a very long career, also, and it's been 30 plus years, and you've seen the industries from the inside, and you also see the underground, you see the mainstream. But what is it in regards to the underground? Because of course we understand the mainstream, we can't control that. That's the beast, right? And the beast is going to consume and chew and do what it wants to do. But the spirit of the music itself is really in the underground and the people that are keeping up with the real tradition and doing it out of the love and not out of clout chasing and all of the bullshit that goes alongside of it. And that's always what we would love and we love to celebrate here is that spirit. How have you or how do you feel about the underground, and seeing it develop, and what do you think about its current state? Are you positive? Are the people you fucking with, or is it kind
Well,
of something that you
you know, like I said, I try not to listen to too much of other people's stuff because it takes away from my creativity. And if I listen to it, it's probably somebody I've already listened to or it's a friend of mine. I really haven't stumbled upon new underground that like I've found, you know what I'm saying, like that intriguing. I'm sure it's out there, but again, I just listen to what I like to listen to. Um, and the underground scene, it's changed. It's changed in the past 15 years easily. Like I was saying in rap clones, one day you have 1,000 fans, the next day you have 500 because 500 became 500 became artists overnight. So
yeah,
I think everybody tries to jump in where they get, where they think they fit in. Um, and it's the scene's changed, but again, I really, again, I'm just in my own lane thinking of what I do, like I'm really not sucking down. Like there's so many good artists out there that it kills me because I got artists that I know or even on my label that are really, 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 really good artists. And to me, I'm like, wow, how come they don't have that, following, or you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
my brother West Nile, amazing MC. Um, or my brother Jerry X. These are good MCs that probably should be bigger than what they are, but it's the underground scene. It's sometimes people like being in the underground just because it's darker music. It's not all sugar coated. It's not all polished up by some stupid ass label like Interscope or somebody trying to polish up someone's image, or change their image. Some people just like to be what they like to be. Hey babe, come on in. Sorry guys, my wife just showed up.
You good? You
You're
good?
good.
Sorry, I'm on that podcast. I don't know if you. Sorry, bub. You need anything? Okay, love you. She's wondering where I was for dinner.
Just because I missed it, Diggy. Where is it that you stay at? Where you at?
I'm in Jersey.
What part of Jersey?
North Jersey.
Uh, I
Bergen
lived
County.
I lived in South Jersey for like the early 2001 to like 05. I was
Where in
out there.
South Jersey?
I was in Camden, East Camden. I was in Pensacola, Cherry Hill, fucking Marlton. I was
You
out
said
there. Yeah,
Are you okay? Are you okay?
yeah.
You said
I'm
Camden.
good.
Are you
I'm
okay?
good.
Are you
I'm
sure?
good. I had to take it to the
I
hood,
can make.
baby.
Are
I
you?
had
Are
to
you
take.
okay?
I had
I
to
don't
take
know
it to the
anything
hood.
about what you guys are
I'm from
talking
South
about.
Central Los Angeles, so you know what I'm saying. And when I come out there, I was like, "Where the hood at?" It was like, "What is talking?" I was
All
like,
right.
"Say less."
All right. Yeah. Listen. I just want to make sure you're okay. Shit.
Hey, Diggy, I want to be respectful.
I used to
Do
go to
you need to
Camden to
go?
buy guns.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh
That's
shit!
what I'm saying. Like, hey, I'm from South Central Los Angeles, so I had to make my way to the hood. You know what I mean,
I got you. I got you.
So, question for you though,
Mhm.
like to be respectful of your time, do you need to go? Is it dinner time? You need to cut this.
I'm a grown ass man. No, she was just wondering where I was, and I wasn't responding to her calls.
Understood. Understood. Well, hey, look, we are all about respect and appreciative of your time, and thank you so much for spending this time with us and chopping it up with us. So, you know, I where I wanted to go is man, like, what would you say to anyone that is because with your experience, right? You've gained a lot of wisdom, and there are individuals that watch this now and are aspiring and trying to make their way and figure it out. And what would you say if you had any piece of advice that you could share to a younger self, to maybe if there because there is maybe no cheat code, but there's always wisdom and advice on how to do things better and smarter, right? And what would you give? What kind of advice would you give to a young artist or anybody that's even not young but trying to make their way right now?
All right. Number one, don't burn bridges.
Amen.
Don't burn bridges. You never know when you have to go back across that bridge. Um, yeah. The other thing is just be original, which that's lost in any any part of any music scene.
Right.
Originality is lost. And don't be afraid to create. Don't say, oh well, I'm worried about this or I'm worried about that, or what if this is the one, what if people don't like it to the point where they just make fun of me. And listen, I love people making fun of me. Like I do it. I
let's
get
go.
such a
You like getting
high from it.
roasted?
I get such a high from it. You know, like I laugh. Like I just posted something a couple weeks ago on a couple sites, and You know, there was all these hardcore heads, you know, because it was like a hardcore
Yeah.
song that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, yeah, this ain't hardcore. What is this? They're putting smiley faces. This is funny, you know. But again, you can't lose who you are. Like, I do what I do because I love to fucking do it. And no offense to anybody. You don't like it, you don't like it. You know, just keep it moving, bro. That's the beauty of this internet shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to stay on my page. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it fucking moving, you know.
Amen to that.
I'm
And,
with you, bro. I love the haters.
you know, and the thing is like I said, you know, if you're gonna do it and you plan on doing it for a long time, just make sure that when you do it, you have a solid family at home that backs you with it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of friends that were artists that, you know, were married or had a lot of problems with their children or divorces and all that stuff, and it fuck up their game.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
and I mean, you know, that's just because I think mine's the best in the world. But again, that's why I say I'm the richest man in the world. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm the richest man in the world. You know, you got to have a good support system behind you, even if they don't listen to your music. My wife don't listen to my music. My wife listens to Dave Matthews Band. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so she you know, she'll listen once in a while, like, wow, that's a really great song. Why ain't you put that out? I was like, whatever. But you have to have that support system behind you. Because, you know, and don't forget where you started. You know, I think a lot of people lose that. I think they forget that at one time they were the guy trying to do it, and you know, now they're doing it. You know, so like they forget that. You know, and again, you know, just be you, and don't be afraid to rap about fucking flowers, bunnies, and you know, sour milk. You know, like don't be afraid to just say whatever comes to mind. You know, I think a
Mm.
lot of people, and stop the fantasy land bullshit. No, I'm only joking. You know, but again, if that's your thing, you want to talk about cutting up bodies and that's your thing, you're into fucking, you know, all that other shit, you know, when it comes to like crazy stuff, you know, go ahead and do it. But in the meantime, let people know, because you'll give off the wrong signal to the wrong people and you'll get tested. That's the only thing about this music scene shit. You'll get
Yes, sir.
tested in different cities.
You
And I
put
think
that
a
energy
lot
out,
of
you
people
get it
forget
back.
that. A lot of people forget that. You see these little line, you know, things online about people checking in, you know, in certain cities. Believe me, that's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, you know, and that's big, that's for major artists and that's for even little artists sometimes. You go to the wrong show and the wrong person and you run into the wrong city, you go into like Philly and, you know, and you're talking all that gun talk, you know, there's gonna be somebody's gonna be like, that motherfucker ain't real. I want to test him out. You know, so again, back what you say. Back what you say if you committed to it. But
Right.
you know, a lot of people don't. You know, I mean, and everybody's gonna want to test you when, especially when you're doing a little bit of, you know, elevation. You're starting to grow a little bit. People are gonna test you. You know,
Yeah.
so just, you know, either brush it off or, like I said, if you're keeping it real, there's nothing they can say.
Right.
Nothing they can say. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I
Me, I
tell
go
my
to work every
kids.
day. I go to work every day. Nobody can take that from me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I support my family. I'm not living a gangster life. I got, like I said, I still dabble and communicate with people that are in that life, but that's not my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? And I don't put it out there that it's my cup of tea ever. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
again, you got to just be careful. Tread with caution, but don't also be afraid. So there's, you're walking on, you're basically walking on eggshells, kind of, because you don't want it. You want
Mhm.
to tread with caution, but you also don't want to be afraid to just be you. But people, I think, appreciate you more when you're more you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's when people know you're real. And that's why when you run into other artists that are real, they'll go, "Wow, I like this guy. This guy keeps it real. He ain't no fucking
Yeah.
no, you know, he ain't no."
Poser or
Yeah,
whatever.
he ain't
Yeah.
fake. You know, he's not fake.
Yeah.
He's not trying to play no games. He's not trying to act like he's, you know, this tough guy. And then when you get around him, he's, you know, he's a fucking
Yeah.
quiet as a church mouse. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and
True, man.
anybody, I don't care whoever's. If you have people in here listening or people who see this show later when they rewatch it or whatever,
Mhm.
listen, bro. I'm an open book. You want to hit me up? Hit me up. You have a question? You have something like, look, you know, we are here to help each other. You know, we are here to help each other. You know, like it's not a hateful thing. I think a lot of jealousy gets involved. Hey, shit, there's a lot of jealousy even in my own record label sometimes. You know, if I show somebody a little too much love, somebody gets upset. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know, So there's a lot of jealousy in this shit too. But if you don't have any, like, to me, I'm not jealous of nobody. Because like I said, I'm rich. So you know what I'm saying? I'm not jealous of anybody.
Well, you as a leader though, like speak on that, man, because as a leader, right? You lead a record label and you have to make those difficult decisions. And when you are managing, or working with, and groups of individuals as adults do on things, how do you manage? Do you have any advice on that in regards to leadership and delegation, or like making those decisions and dealing with people that think that there's favoritism or anything like that?
Well, what I try to do in my circle,
Yeah.
first off, I don't tell anybody in my circle what they can do with their music. Whatever they want to do, they can do. I'm giving you the platform. Just do right by me and the name. You know what I'm saying? I try to give them all. And again, there might be somebody's record I'm working on and somebody else is a little jealous that I'm spending all this time on that record. Uh, it could happen and it happens, but the sad thing is, like, and I think they all know this by now, especially ones that really know me, that have been with me for years. They know there's no bad intent. I'm not out to fuck nobody. I'm not out to do one dirty, help another one. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like, when it comes to leading, I just give them a solid foundation. I'm the foundation. I'm the solid brick. You know what I'm saying? They don't put out music for 6 months to a year. That's pretty much on them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because I'm not. The thing about Ill Rock is I use my platform and my exposure, just like
Hmm.
Danny Diablo did for me when he originally owned Ill Rock. You
Yeah.
know, and shout out to him because Danny Diablo. I don't know if you guys know who Danny is, but Danny Diablo, he's helped so many people. And yeah, he may look like this crazy gangbanger, tattooed face motherfucker, and shit. He's just people think he's crazy, but I've seen him help so many people, and it makes me sick because a lot of people just used him. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Like I tell my artists, I'm
Yeah.
like, Ill Rock is not a stepping stone. If you got signed, I tell all my artists the moment they fucking sign with me or whatever, I say, dude, if you sign to Sony tomorrow, I'm happy for you. I could say that that's my artist instead of being jealous. Do you see what I'm saying? Instead of saying,
It's
"Oh man,
love.
should have stayed with me and made me the money." I don't care. I make my own money, you know. But I try to give everybody the same amount of time of my time. You know what I'm saying? My artist Christian Koresh, the one guy, he asked me to start editing a friggin' like a South Park type thing for him. You know what I'm saying? So I did 3 episodes. He's been waiting on the 4th episode for a month. I told him, I was like, yo, bro, it's my busy season at work. If you want to get somebody else to do, he's like, oh, I'll try to get this person, whatever. But again, he knows it's not personal. When Wes Nile, if I was doing something for Wes and I was doing something for my brother Diesel or Danny or somebody else, then, like I could sense sometimes there might be jealousy. But again, bro, it's nothing intentional. And I let them know that from the jump. Like, it's not personal. It's not like I'm working on his record because I have more invested in his record. I don't know, man. As a leader, bro, I'm willing to take it all on my shoulder. I'm willing to take their problems on my shoulders. They got a problem. They got a problem. I basically Ill Rock Records isn't what it used to be neither. You know what I'm saying? There was a time we pressed the records, we did all that shit, but now, like you said, it's easy to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm giving you a platform. I'm giving you a place to call home. I'm putting a patch on your back and giving you a foundation. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people that always want that patch on their back. They
Yep.
want the Ill Rock patch, like, oh, I want to be a part of that, but then they don't want to do the work. I had a kid
Yeah.
sign with us 4 years ago, and he was all about it first 6 months. And then all of a sudden, I hit him up. Yo, what's going on? Oh, man, can you get me some beats? I was like, bro, like, that's not how this works. Like, you start shopping your own shit, and then I'll help you mix it. I'll help you record it. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to
Mhm.
put in the legwork. See, a lot of people don't want to do that shit, man. They're not hustlers. There's a lot of people out there that claim to be hustlers. They're not hustlers. And that's a
Yeah.
fact. A hustler gets shit done, regardless of the situation. You know.
Amen. Figure it out with what you have. It's not like I've got to go have this piece of equipment until I get no. That and that's the spirit of hip hop. Like you do with what you
What you
have. Like
have.
you said, that very first sampler that you bought, like you know what I mean, and that like the one that you wish you had, right? You know,
Yeah.
still to this day, right? And the way that you won't get rid of that rolling. You
Nope.
just can't, right? I can't. My 1200s are my original pair of 1200s and I've had many pairs of 12 and got rid of them all, but I never got rid of these, and these were never ever right because they were like busted from a pawn shop. I paid $400 for two of them and knew what I was getting, but I was like, God damn it, they're 1200s, and as a
Well,
DJ, you
the
work your way up.
1200s, that's what it was when you went from the Geminis to the Techniques. Like
Yeah.
that was your plateau. Like you had to reach that. That was the goal when you were DJing. I have to get to the 1200. You know what
Yes,
I'm saying?
sir. Like it was just you. Yes, they're like none other, and they're still running. And I had them redone and reconditioned, and but either way, but that's just those types of things. Those are the foundations. I wanted to ask you about with the hardcore scene, right?
No.
Uh, like tell me about how that and hip hop and everything like intersects and how you have that music where they're interlacing because we always talk about how hip hop nowadays gets lumped into unfortunately one fucking category, and it's unfortunate when you think about just you take the rock genre. Now hip hop we've talked about been around for fucking 50 plus years now, and just like rock, everything you had all of these different categories in the rock genres like alternative rock, heavy metal. You just go
Right.
down the line, right? Goth, whatever, new rock, all these different things. But no one ever has given any thought to say there are different genres with inside of hip hop, and there shouldn't be like the current generation of hip hop shouldn't have to compete with someone that would say we've had a guest on here. His name's Old School Ice Cream, who's had instilled into multiple award shows and trying to get it in a category for the Grammys and also a genre officially accepted in the music industry called adult contemporary hip hop or ACH. And that's like your classic golden era boom bap type sound when,
Right.
it's like, so artists shouldn't have to compete with younger artists in their type of lane or whatever. And just being able to give the art form of hip hop in itself the respect that it does deserve, just like you got to give it to rap and give it the breath that it deserves, because there's all these different ways to express yourself. Just like even when you said you express yourself without, you come off with something that's really aggressive, and someone might be like, God damn, listening to your lyrics, but you didn't even say a single curse word.
Right. Right. Well, hardcore and hip hop, that blend. The sad thing is like I don't know how much you guys know, but like a lot of your hip hop artists that you
Mhm.
probably there's almost every like okay, so Ice T when he did Body Count, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think
Yes, sir.
anybody expected Ice T to do Body Count ever.
When fucking Body Count come out, I was like, what is this? Because I was like, he's got a song about cop killer, and all
Cop
this.
killer.
I got it the day it came out, and I put it in. And
Right.
I was just like, I was not expecting this, and I'm like. And he went for it, and he was like, they went for it for real. And I was like, I respect the fuck out of it because he's not faking. He's like,
No,
we are,
no, no. He and
yeah.
that's the thing is a lot of rap artists like it's funny because a lot of rap artists that you guys know of that like people like shit Necro,
Hmm.
Ill Bill, they're metal fans.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They're
Cypress
hardcore
Hill. They
fans.
love Black Sabbath and Led
Right,
Zeppelin, and the reason why their whole mystique on their first album was the same to mirror Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. They were
right. You
huge
know,
metal fans.
they're all metal fans, and hardcore. It's funny because if you think about some of the big hardcore bands now,
Hmm.
almost every one of the hardcore band, not almost everyone, but a good portion of them, from Madball, Freddie did like 2 or 3 hip hop albums already.
Okay.
Stickman's, from Fury of Five's done a hip hop album. Danny Diablo's did like 45 hip hop albums. And that's Crown of Thorns, Scarhead. So there's always been like, there's always been a blend and an appreciation for each other's music. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And I didn't get to see the CBGBs the way other people saw it when it
Okay.
really was just strictly some hardcore punk music. I
Hmm.
didn't get a chance to really see that because that wasn't my scene. Um, but when I started to 92, somewhere around there, I
Yeah.
started seeing like even the clothes were starting to get a little less skinheady,
Yeah.
less punk, to more of like a flight jacket with Adidas shoes. You know what I'm saying? So you started to see this little blend, and half of those guys loved hip hop records too. You know what I'm saying? So it was just
Hmm.
something that I always felt like. I mean, yeah, you can go back to again Run DMC and talk about what they did with Aerosmith.
Right.
Uh, you could talk about, like one of my favorite producers is Rick Rubin.
Absolutely.
Rick was a metalhead, like Rick
Deaf
was a great
American.
metalhead, you know,
Slayer.
right. So when you started hearing drum beats and the guitars, hardcore is not so much different. You know what I'm saying? It's really not much different. It's just lyrics and how people say it, you know. So how they blend together, again, I think it's just magic. In my mind, it's magic. Um, but how it really came together with the hardcore scene and the hip hop scene, because we do a lot of shows together.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We do a lot of shows together. I mean, not much anymore, but we used to do a lot of like literally. You'd go to a show and half of it would be hardcore hip hop, and then the other half would be hardcore music. You know what I'm saying? It'd be something like, and again, I'm just throwing out randoms. Like La Coca Nostra and Madball. You know what I'm saying? Would be a
Yeah.
show that you go to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
you know, um, I don't know. I think it's all about preference. Me, I just love hardcore music because of how aggressive it is.
Hmm.
Um, and I think a lot of people like that. Um, I don't know. I really, it's hard for me to touch on that because again, it's to me, I love them both almost equally. I
I
love
was
hip
going to
hop.
ask
I love them both
if you
equally.
preferred one more so than the other now.
Well, as creation, all right. So what I've learned over the years, and I'm sure other people have learned, I hate working with bands. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody in a band is on the same page. The guitarist has to, take his wife to Amsterdam for something. The drummer has to, he's got having foot surgery. Like coordinating. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't stand coordinating with people. Like that's another reason. Like I did a group. If you guys ever look it up, it was like hardcore hip hop. Like when I say
Yeah.
hardcore hip hop, every beat was pretty much hardcore. But it was rapping on top, and it was a group that me and Bundy Blunts from the original band Setback we put together called Buried Before Death. Like if you
Okay.
look up any, like there's probably like 6 videos or something, you could see it's all hardcore music in the background, but it's just us rapping on top of it with an aggression rap and kind of screaming on the choruses. Um, but again, when you're doing things with bands and groups, you can't get everybody on the same page, bro.
Yeah.
I
You
can't
get
even
the
get my kids.
heist.
I can't even
I
get my
see.
kids to get in the car to go on vacation at the same time. I mean, you think I'm gonna get a bunch of grown men to, coordinate? You know what I'm saying? It's like come on, man. Who the fuck are we kidding, bro? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's weird. You know, like I said, there's something there. There's a bridge that I don't think not too many people can really name, or
Yeah.
you know, there's something there, and I never knew what it was. I don't even all the years I put into music. I don't think there. I don't know what it is. You know, it might be the drum patterns. It might be the guitars. I mean, if anybody knows me or follows my music like literally on a regular basis, almost all my music has guitars. All my hip hop beats have guitars on them. You know, I
Mhm.
love that. Like to me, every hip hop beat should have a guitar on it. You know, like that. That's just where I am. But again, I think it's just because I love that hardcore low end chunk. You know what I'm saying? That low end shit. Maybe a little rhythm on the fucking high ends. Ding 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 ding. You know,
Mhm.
like that to me with a hard ass Wu Tang fucking drum going. Like that's it. I don't even need lyrics. Fuck it.
That's you.
I'm done.
I got you. You're
Like
like,
I'm
that's it.
good. I'm good. So, you know, but again, I don't know. There's a weird bridge there that, you know, some people, I mean, maybe there's somebody out there that can put it into perspective for me. Cause even though I've been in the game for 30 years, I still don't fucking know. You know, there's something there.
I'm thinking of a song right now when you mentioned how you like it. I know you don't listen to a lot of new music and everything like that, but there's a track called Lyrical Hammers that was on the album that was just
Real
released
cycle.
by Real Psycho by Be Real and Psycho Les, and the homie Steph Tone plays the 6 string bass on that, or 7 string bass on that. And when you talk about that, it's just it is exactly what you just mentioned.
It's almost like a high. You know, you're getting the best of
Yeah.
both worlds. You know, I mean, who wouldn't want to smoke weed and fuck? Think about it. You know, so it's like, you know, think of hardcore as fucking, you know, and think of weed as hip hop. You know, like wouldn't you rather smoke a joint and fuck at the same time? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, like
It's
try to
like
make it make
chocolate and
sense.
peanut
You know,
butter, Reese cups. It's just some.
you know,
It's
it's like that's the way I look at it. You know, I mean, they're both a vice that I have to have somehow, and if I can blend the two together and have that vice together, then that's what I make. You know, what I'm saying? Like
hell yeah, man. I love it.
you know,
Hell
but
yeah.
Man, ways, you got any questions for Diggy?
Man, shit. You got some new music coming out, Diggy?
I got music coming out every fucking week. Well,
You
actually,
put
I got a
you
three
putting out
song.
projects or singles or what's
Yeah,
it
yeah,
look?
yeah. I got a three. Well, it was supposed to be a 5 song EP. I was doing with my brother Jerry X. It was more of like a punk rock rap MGK. You know that Machine Gun Kelly type shit. You know, like what he was doing for a while there with like Blink 180. It's like a Blink 182 meets fucking. I don't even know. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's like some weird, you know. So I have a so we were supposed to do a 5 song EP, but of course, my brother Jerry's got like a bunch of shit going on personally. Plus, he's doing his own shit. Um, so a couple songs fell behind. So right now, there's 3 solid songs. Which at this point, I'm kind of like that. Like if you can't come to the table and finish it, fuck it. I'm putting out the 3 songs and we're done. You know what I'm saying? I'll put them out as singles. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm working on. It's gonna throw you guys. I'm working on like a country rap record thing right now. Yeah, it's you know it seems like you know there's a genre there that I started to like. I mean, I always like country music too. You know, like it wasn't like I liked the way
I
hardcore.
came across that in my research, and I was wondering. I was going to ask you about that. So you mentioned that. Tell us about that, man. Like,
Well,
how did that become about?
so there's an artist that I stumbled upon. Uh, I guess it was around the pandemic.
Hmm.
You know, like when everybody was sitting on their fucking phones. You know,
Hmm.
it was this kid Ryan Upchurch,
Okay.
and he just the kid's very fucking talented. I don't put people on pedestals, but this kid is fucking talented. Like he could sing, he can do country, he could do rap. He's fucking just amazing. So then he was working with other people that I'm not into that jelly. I'm not into Jelly Roll and some of those other people. But I'm also a fan of like Yellow Wolf. You know, like I don't know a lot of Yellow Wolf stuff,
Yellow
but
Wolf is sick.
I love shit. You know, because again, he could be singing in one song and then be rapping better than most rappers in the world. You know what I'm saying on another song. Like so there's something there. So like there's like a little country mixed in there, you know, I can't explain it. Um and I don't know. I started listening to his stuff, and then again he was working with this kid Adam Calhoun. Not a kid, the guy's a grown man, like my age or something. And they were doing something together, so I started listening to them both, and then they had a feud, and I just kind of I didn't pick sides for like 4 years. You know what I'm saying? They had beef for like 4 years. I didn't pick nobody's side. I just listened to both of them. They both would comment on my shit. I would comment on their stuff. Um, but I like that country twang chorusy thing.
Mhm.
You know, maybe not the verses as country as what I'm saying, maybe more of a rap, but it was just like, yeah, and the music, I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's not banjos, you know what I'm saying? It's not like hillbilly fucking, you know, banjo type shit. I'm a chorus guy. Like
Okay.
basically, if you show me a song tomorrow, like, hey Diggy, I just made this song. If you don't catch me with the chorus, I'm probably not gonna listen to your verse. And that's God's honest truth for me. Unless you're a really dope fucking verse writer. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't catch me with the chorus, because I'm a jingle guy. You know what I'm saying? People come to me for choruses. That's kind of my specialty. You know what
I
I'm saying? I
got
can
you.
make a chorus out of fucking anything. You know, you give me a topic and give me the beat that you want to do. The next day, you'll have the chorus in your fucking email, and you're like, wow, oh, damn, you know, whatever style I feel that the beat rides or whatever you want, you know.
Mhm.
But there's something that kid was doing, and I saw that he was making fucking guys like a fucking millionaire from it in like 5 years. You know, then there's that Tom McDonald or Todd McDonald.
Yes,
He's
I
an
know who
artist
you're
now.
talking about.
He's
Yes.
I'm not a big fan of his music, but he's good. You know, he's definitely a good MC. Not not really something I don't
Miss
know. But
Catherine wants to know what you think about Jam Wayne.
uh, you know, I actually, it's funny. I stumbled upon his stuff only probably a couple months ago
We've had
because
him on B Boys Underground last year.
what's that?
We had him on B Boys
Oh, did
Underground
you? Did
last
you?
year. Yeah. What's
Uh,
up?
I personally, like I said, I like his style, but I feel it's not in a bigger range. You know what I'm saying? Like I've heard a couple songs that I liked, but I feel like as an artist, like there's not like much more of a range than where he is. Like I don't
Understood.
hear a lot of intricate style to it. You know, like I don't hear everything sounds very monotone and but
Do you
otherwise,
think that's
like
because he maybe needs to work with some
right, but
people
from
outside of
what
his camp or something?
from what I know about him, from what I
Hmm.
know about the guy, like from the internet, I
Hmm.
don't know him personally or people that know,
Yes.
what I know about him, he hasn't been doing it that long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know
Yeah.
unless he has.
He
And
hasn't been doing it that long, but what's from my interaction with him, he is just a real humble, down to earth dude. Like he's a real working dude, and also like he's got a story to tell,
well, that's
and that's an
respectful.
so I mean I respect us, and like my interaction with him was nothing but respectful too. So much love
You
to
know,
him because I've had to deal with some disrespectful people even on here. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, no, like I said, the guy I haven't heard enough of his music to even make a real honest opinion. But from what I have heard, it's very one way at this point. I don't hear a lot of range. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's just me as like, I could put, Slain. I don't know if you guys know who Slain is. I could put Slain in there and have, Slain will have a hardcore song where there's more of like a metal. You know what I'm saying? And then there's another one where he's more hip hop. So again, I just like different sounds. I feel like everything I've ever heard of Jam Wayne, but again, I haven't been exposed enough to the guy. I probably heard 3 songs from the guy. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't even say much about him. You know,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah, not to ask or
I
anything,
hate the
but you think
douchebag he
like that.
works with, though.
Yeah. Huh? You
I
hate
hate
the
the
what?
asshole he works with.
Who's
That
that?
guy,
Which one?
Adam Calhoun.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't like
I
the guy.
got you. You don't like the guy.
I don't like
I
him
don't know.
because it's funny when him and Ryan Upchurch were beefing. Like I
Yeah.
sat back for 4 years and listened to all of them talk shit to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like then I started realizing a few things. The more I looked into Adam, and I realized something about the dude is really fucking shady. There's something about him. I can't put my fucking finger on it. Well, there is a few things I can put my fucking finger on, but something about him. I don't know. I think he's a snake. I think he's a snake. But him working with Jam, working with him, that's their business. Ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
You know?
Absolutely. So look, we did have a request, and we want to get into one or two more videos and cut it. And what I want to do, we had a request for the working man, right? And would you mind telling us about the Working Man No Surrender, that project, and set the table for that?
Okay, so I made that chorus without thinking of verses. Okay. It was just something I did, and I was going to give it to somebody, the track originally to somebody. Like that's what I'll do too, is I'll build a lot of stuff for people and say, here you go. It's your baby now, So I built it. And then I got approached by this rapper from, I don't know where he's from. I don't know if he's from like North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere down there. And he's like, yo, you got a song? Let's collab. I said, you know what? Here's the chorus and here's the beat, whatever. I sent it off to him, and then he never responded. So I was like, you know what? I like the chorus. I don't want it to go to waste. So let me sit and think of where the chorus makes sense. And then let me try to make some verses kind of make sense with the chorus. Really wasn't a whole thought out process. So there's really not much to it when it comes to like a backstory to that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm proud to be a working man. I'm proud that I get up every morning at 5 o'clock. I hate it. I got 4 more years of it before I fucking finally retire. And that's my life. I'm rapping about my life. I'm not, and anybody who works for a living and fucking their hands are as calluses as mine, they appreciate something like that. Because I don't know how motherfuckers nowadays even relate to half the fucking music out there. I'm not at the club. I'm not popping fucking bottles. You know what I'm saying? I'm not rolling in a fucking benzo. I'm not fucking, I can't relate.
I don't want to live that life no more either, man. Or even if nah, man. I'm happy being the dad lane right now.
Yeah, I just again, I just make what fucking feels right at the time. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. I mean, I just have the highest respect for people that work with their fucking hands and that go to work every day and provide for their family. Well, I hate fucking slackers. I hate people that make excuses. You know what I'm saying? Burn bridges. Like I'm just one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like I respect people that work hard for a living. Amen. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's stocking fucking groceries on a shelf. I don't care what the fuck you do. You know what I'm saying? You be a janitor. Be the best janitor you've ever been. You know what I'm saying? Or
do your best every single fucking day. Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely. Well, here we go, y'all. We're getting ready to get into it, man. Here it goes.
Shane was right. The working man is a sucker, Dad. He's a sucker.
He's wrong. Don't take much strength to pull a trigger, but try and get up every morning, day after day, and work for a living. Let's see him try that. Then we'll see who's the real tough guy, the working man.
Never gonna wave that flag. There's no surrender. Guess I gotta save myself from going under. Just another day in my life that I face this danger. So let it be known that I'll never surrender. I make music for the working man, and for those breaking backs with these rough hands. Goddamn, got a plan for a better life. Provide for my kids, my wife, gotta make it right. And it's a fight that I'll never lose. Show and prove, making moves, show the truth. Leaving work, hands hurt, then I hit the booth. And it's a fact that I'll never fly the white flag. And no surrender, working hard, everything I have. And it's a struggle, it's a hustle, never giving up. I put my heart and soul in everything I ever touched. And for my soldiers on the grind, feeling life is tough. I feel your pain when it rains, so you're never stuck. Never gonna wave that chance at the end of your life and know you did right. With every path you cross and anyone who did you wrong, cut ties and stand lost and get tossed off the bridge they burn. Know with every little struggle how much you learn. Fear you lost time, such a waste of a crime, but you need to let it go. Stop pressing rewind, let the beast loose. I'ma give you some truth in that reflection of a demon looking back is you. Never gonna wave that flag. There's no surrender. Guess I gotta save myself from going under. Just another day in my life that I face this danger. So let it be known that I'll never surrender.
Yeah. Hey, real quick. Daddy duty calls. I gotta cut out. Yo, man, I gotta take him to practice. You already know. Diggy, Ill Rock, much love.
God bless, brother. Be
Thank
good.
you for being here. Appreciate you.
No
We'll
problem.
tap in. We'll tap in.
Anytime.
Yes,
God
sir.
bless.
Boogie,
Take care.
you
Much
already
love to
know.
you, fam.
Everybody in
Absolutely.
the chat, big love. Thanks for coming through and supporting. You already know.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
All
Much
right,
love.
peace.
So check this out, man. I do want to get into at least one more song before we get up out of here, and also give an opportunity to, uh, how can people, stay up to date with, what it is that you're doing? What's the best way to follow you and support you?
I mean, I don't know. Like again, I'm not an internet guy. I don't know anything about this
Yeah.
shit. I'm a dinosaur, bro. I know how to take a video and post it. Y- You know,
So your YouTube channel is the best way to keep us track. I mean, you're posting stuff on all your streaming platforms. Is it on like all the streaming
yeah,
platforms?
Spotify, iTunes. It's on all
There
that
you
stuff.
go.
But again, I mean, I just started Spotify like a year ago. Like I'm not into selling my shit online. I've still got hard copies over here of all my old shit that's probably got to go online. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Is it,
like,
can people buy anything from you now, or do they have the ability to contact you and
well,
like
I
if they
mean,
wanted to
they can
buy copies
contact
of
me
your
if they
stuff?
want a CD, and again, I'm not in it for the money. If there's a couple people that say, hey man, can you send me out your last record, or my last press record was Lucky 13. You know what I'm saying? Shit, first, if I got 10 left, you guys can have one each. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm
Boom,
saying?
there it is.
Listen, man, I don't do this shit for money. That's the problem. And maybe that's my biggest downfall with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm nobody. Like that's what kills me is I ain't anybody, bro. I just love making the shit. If you like my music, thumbs up, brother. Other than that, just keep it fucking moving. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope, though. I mean, see, that's kind of like what this is for me. Is like this is my love letter to this is my love letter to my kids, to my wife, but to hip hop and hopefully just to be able, because this show started in '95, back in the day on public radio, on 88.3 FM in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm out here in Denver, but with the cancer and everything and all the shit that I went through, I reached back out to the guy that got me involved with the show and his crew and helped me get into the promotions and side of the industry and do the record pool and street team work and all of that stuff. And we was part of the crew that started Scribble Jam, and that documentary's being edited and get ready to go. But everybody knows about Scribble Jam and everything that happened. But when it came down to it, as a way of getting my shit back together, we collabed, linked back up, and was like, let's just do it like this, and this is what it is, because we want to be able to get legends, be able to give them an opportunity to get their flowers, but also document everything that's going on in the community and show the different, just how there's a different there's a vast, vast amount of music that's you can find something that you really like just within hip hop in itself, right? And hip hop has penetrated every single facet of American culture, world culture, and let's just forget about the kangaroo chick during the Olympics, right? But that in itself, I mean, like hip hop is just it's there. It's
Right.
part of everything, right? And it's beautiful because you and I both were at a time when I know people around me that they were like, "Oh, this is a flash in the pan. This will never last, and it'll change, and yada yada yada." And here it is, 50 plus years later, and there's still youth, there's still culture that's doing it in the traditional way, and there's youth that are taking it into a new direction. And either way, I'm not here to shit on anyone's music. If it's your form of expression, it's your form of expression. It might not be my form of expression, but I'm here to respect and value definitely the forms of expression that I appreciate, and I absolutely 100% appreciate and value everything that you do and have done. And hats off to you. You are, as I say, you're an underground legend and just a legend in itself. And thank you so
Thanks,
much
man.
for
I
taking your
appreciate it. You
time.
know,
I hope you
it's a
enjoyed.
beautiful thing that it's a beautiful thing that you invested with your challenges you've had over the years with your health. You still your roots are there, and you can't help but go back to your roots. And you're still trying to you're still working. A lot of
Absolutely.
people that's a lot of people will tend to come across a battle like yours and just say, okay, that's it, I'm done, throw in the towel, you know and you didn't do that, so that's a good thing on your end. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still kicking, and remember, you got a family to live for. You know what I'm saying? They need you, because without you, then trust me, it's a different ship. you know
Absolutely.
so
A-
you know
And that, thank you. Because I want my kids to know it. Like, with that, just I'm sitting here staring at your chorus is no surrender. And that absolutely, my thing is to my kids is fight.
yeah,
Fight until the motherfucking end. And excuse me for, but I even say that I even cuss. I mean, like, fight until it like I'd like if there's no turning back. There is no retreat. There is only forward. You figure it out and you don't submit. You might get knocked down, but you get the fuck back up. Yeah, you got to lick your wounds, but you got to learn from your mistakes, and the failure is life.
right,
Life is a series of failures until you can master something. And once you master something, then you use that mastery and flip that into something else, to start learning something else, to applying it, to start making more progressions in yourself and
yeah.
fight.
Well, take this into consideration. Ben Franklin, okay? No, I'm sorry, Thomas Edison, okay, invented electricity, right?
Yes,
Is it
sir.
Thomas Edison, right?
Or
He,
Tesla, either way.
see, okay, so take this little piece of advice and store it in your brain for the rest of your life. Whoever's still online, or whoever hears this or watches this, and to the wonderful host as well. Okay, he didn't fail at electricity 147 times when he tried it. He learned how not to do it
Mm,
147 times.
yes, sir.
Okay, so if you say, okay, I failed, you're beating yourself up.
Mm,
Okay, you can't say that. You have to say, you know what I'm saying? I learned how not to do it again. There's a difference. Learning how not to do it and failing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta just say it like that.
you know what, though? Thank you for that. I'm going to let you know, as a 49-year-old man, I needed to hear that, because even here, I'm getting ready to start a podcast with Ives Ivory from Delinquent Habits. Everybody knows. that it's going to be a podcast focused on men's mental health, and we've got a lot of some really good stuff lined up. But
That's
the
good.
the one thing that I challenge, and I've been challenged with, is negative self speak, right? And really learning how to, and I'm working with, making sure that my children know not to make those same mistakes in regards to how they think and speak to themselves, and even framing simple things like that. Even I have to adjust and correct the way that my dialogue is, because there is that negative connotation with the failure part, and you're beating yourself up, where I'm saying at the end of the day, failure is the learning, but no, it's just learning.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't say fail. You can just say I learned how not to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because fail is a harsh word. It stabs you. It hits hard. It stabs you in the friggin' heart. It stabs you in the brain. It's something that, when you go to sleep at night and you say to yourself, I failed, that's a harsh thing to leave on your brain before you go to bed. You know what I'm saying? So if you could say to yourself, all right, I learned how not to do it this time. So, you know what I'm saying? Just
Game right there for y'all right there. That's the mic drop moment right there, y'all. Damn. If there's anything that you can learn in that right there, mm,
Yep. Yep.
take care.
Well,
That
listen,
that
I got to get running myself.
Me too. Shout outs, fam, and thank you so much. We appreciate you, Diggy. Shout outs,
Thank you for
family.
having me. If you ever need anything, you need something thrown together or something for the show, a promo, or just anything, or you want to bullshit, just hit me up.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, I appreciate you. Y'all keep it positive, keep it pushing, keep persevering. We're B Boys Underground. We're out. Much love. Y'all
God
split.
bless.